Greetings and salutations. I'm the fallen angel Christopher Daniels.
Hello, yes, Danhausen here, to tell you, deliver a very nice, very evil message, if you will.
This is NXT superstar Dexter Lumis.
What's up, everybody? It's me, your buddy, your pal, Scott Stanford.
Hey, this is Big Sexy Kevin Nash.
This is the former intellectual savior of the masses, now known as Aaron Stevens, your NWA third-degree national champion.
This is Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, the role model, and you are listening to Greg Morgan with Good Mic Work Commentaries.
And I want to tell you, Greg, your buddy Howie, also known as Wheezy, as you call him, he told me all about your channel. I'm here to tell everybody that I've seen it, I've watched it, I've looked at it. I went down the rabbit hole and I couldn't get out of it. It was so good.
Yeah, you better watch this channel. You better watch all the videos.
I'm about to go and watch a few videos myself.
Watch them 5 times a piece. That's right, I said 5 times a piece. Do it.
I know you've been a fan for like 40 years. I've only been doing it for 30, so I guess we're fans together there for 10 of it.
Do it.
He's not going to fill your head with bullshit. He's going to tell you real deal, what's up, and that's that.
Do it.
Good Mic Work is the place to be for all your wrestling information, guaranteed.
The best wrestling content is right here at Good Mic Work Commentary.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Check out Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Check out Good Mic Work Commentaries on YouTube.
Subscribe, share, love, like, poke, whatever you need to do.
If you don't, we're gonna have a problem.
Love that, Danhausen, love that Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Do it now.
You're welcome.
Happy Halloween! What's going on, everybody, and welcome to your October 31st, 2020 edition of the Winged Eagle Podcast. Greg Morgan back at you, and as I come on the screen here, you are going to see that I'm not dressed up. I suppose I could be going as Stone Cold Steve Austin, or Bill Goldberg, or Gilbert, I suppose, maybe Christopher Daniels, maybe Just Incredible. Apparently, there's a few others that you guys always, Michael Stipe from REM. One of those guys, maybe you could consider me dressed up as today. But unfortunately, I hate to be lame. I really just don't do Halloween. I know it's a big day. It's a lot of fun sometimes as an adult. I think I've only dressed up maybe 4 or 5 times. Dressed up as Chris Jericho one year. Dressed up as Raven one year. About 13, 14 years ago, I dressed up as a big baby. I had a giant onesie and a bonnet and a bunch of vodka in a bottle. That was fun. But for the most part, I don't partake in Halloween just because it's not one of my favorite days, I guess. I'm not a horror movie fan, anything like that. I don't get into the ghosts and goblins stuff. So, as usual, I always disappoint you guys. But we have a lot to talk about here, Halloween-themed stuff, especially Halloween Havoc this past Wednesday night, which I just thought was fantastic. Really good night of wrestling from both shows. We're going to get into all that. We're going to get into some wrestling news and the very fucked up dick move that WWE has done regarding the talent's Twitch channels. We're going to talk about Paige's on-air breakdown as well while all this was going on. We've got some other news, including Matt Riddle's name change. We got a Vince docuseries coming up. We're going to preview this Monday's Raw. We're going to take a look at Survivor Series and Full Gear. And we're going to run through the results of NXT, AEW Dynamite, and SmackDown. That's kind of on the menu today, as usual, for this happy weekend. And I hope you guys are doing well. John Malkovich, Adam Pearce, there you go. Those are 2 good ones. Hope you guys are having a good day. It kind of does suck this year with, Halloween kind of being canceled. Okay, I can be heard. I'm just doing a quick sound check there to make sure you're good. And, yeah, how Weezy, I want to thank you for sending me the Scott Stanford one. He's such a stud. I DM'd you earlier on in the week. I'm like, send me the MP4 to that video so I can use it. Appreciate you doing that, man. That was awesome. But I don't know if you guys are having any plans this year. I mean, Halloween is, kind of not happening. I don't know if kids are going out trick-or-treating or not. I have got a 4-year-old niece. My sister is not taking her out. They're having a small party for her and like 3 friends, and they're just going to spoil them and give them candy and shit. In terms of what the adults are doing, I will be at work tonight, And usually we got some pretty good action going down in the streets. If this was a regular year, it's a Saturday night and there's a full fucking moon tonight. So I think people will be down for some debauchery later on. But since, it's pandemic stuff, I don't know how people are going to be having their fun. I'm sure lots of people will be having Halloween parties perhaps, and things like that in their own homes. But in terms of being out on the town or being out trick-or-treating, I don't really think much is going down. So if you guys are kind of holed up in your house and you're just hanging around, not doing much, I appreciate you being here with us tonight. And like I said, we'll keep ourselves busy with plenty of wrestling news and results, because it was a wacky one. Man, I'll tell you what, in 1 week's time, within 7 days, we had Le Dinner Debonair, we had Law and Otis, we had a murder on Impact Wrestling, we had a very crazy Halloween Havoc on Wednesday that saw zombies and haunted house matches and all sorts of crazy stuff. It's been a really, really funny week, I guess, in terms of some of the wacky things that we've seen. So it's definitely going to leave us no shortage of things to talk about, and it should be fun. But it's probably going to start out not so fun, because we're going to open up here with some sad news regarding a wrestling death, and then I'm going to get into my thoughts on the Twitch stuff. I also have some information on a giveaway that we're going to do. We're actually going to have to do this raffle style. I'm going to hold off and wait here just a little bit to let you guys know how we're going to do that. I'm going to, you guys can enter it today, and then on Monday, I'm going to randomly pick a number on, and I'll do that live maybe on Twitter, and then Monday night on Raw's live stream, I'll announce the winner. So it's a set of computer speakers. The only reason I'm giving these away is because I bought them because I already have a set, and I liked them so much I wanted two for my second computer, but I don't really have room for them. And I don't know if you guys have ever returned things on Amazon, but it is a pain in the ass. So I'd rather not even go through it and just try to give this away to you guys. But it's going to have to be a raffle deal. Otherwise, it's really hard for me to pick a winner. So we'll get into that before we jump into the results. But first, I want to knock out Super Chats, say hi to the chat, bust out the Patreon shout-outs, and then we will be on our way. I already knocked you out. How Wheezy. Good to see you in here, Barry. And Dan Price, thank you for the artwork, my friend. And we got Jet the Hawk and Ben and Zane and Andrew. William Cullen, Mr. E, 1976. Anthony's here. Steven, right on. Also, I want to shout out, as usual, the current patrons and supporters of the channel. You can do that over on patreon.com, by the way. We have a Patreon-sponsored review coming up at the very beginning of November. It's probably just going to be in the next week or so. I would think it's going to be a review on Beyond the Mat. And even though I've talked about Beyond the Mat a lot over the years in Q&As and random podcasts and stuff, I've never really done a full look at the entire documentary. And it was a big deal when it came out. I remember. And just watched it again the other night to refresh my memory. I've seen it a bunch of times, but I'm going to put down a pretty nice review on that, and that'll be up here right in the next probably 10 days, probably a week though. So keep a lookout for that. Everybody else, I want to thank Alex Dredge and Apron Bump Podcast, Alan Carter, Scotty Cura, Brandon Yelverton, Michael Tong, Nick Musser, K-Dogs Kennel, Ryan Y, Devlin Husband, John Redifer, Claudio Clavetester, Jordan Carr, Daniel Rodriguez, Barry MK, who is here as well, Josiah, Mr. Steve, Scott, Moss, Domanian, Ewell, John Riffle, Michael Cuomo, Naveed, Nathan Walker, Keith Salyers, Blake Moran, and Alex Reynolds. Thank you guys for supporting monthly to the channel, and your support is absolutely appreciated. Other than that, I don't have any other scheduling news for you. Just want to let you know about the Beyond the Mat review that's coming soon. We'll be up here, of course, this Monday after Raw, and then a week from today is Full Gear, correct? On the 7th. So I will make plans to be here for that, and we'll come up and do a review after the show for Full Gear. Not sure how that's going to affect the Winged Eagle yet. Not quite sure. I'll give you guys a lowdown on that on Monday night during the Raw stream. I'll let you know what my plans are for next weekend. Zane G, appreciate the $10, dude. Thank you so much. Not to mess up, but if the kids cannot go trick-or-treating, they can all go outside and catch the coronavirus. Yeah, that's true. That's probably why a lot of people aren't going trick-or-treating. I just don't know like what neighborhoods are doing. I don't know what is there a law in certain states about going out and trick-or-treating tonight? I don't even know. I haven't been paying attention. So I'm curious. I live in a residential area, so I'll keep a lookout for little bastards coming up, showing up and knocking on my door. I don't have anything for them. A couple of razor blades and some nails and power tools they can have. I'll give them some of that. That's about all I got. Jordan Rose, thank you, man. Happy Halloween to you too. JL, congrats. Third day on your new job. Got to listen while at work. All right, man. Well, if you're only on your third day, don't get in trouble by listening to me. Is there anybody in my neighborhood that does all-out decorations for Halloween with props and stage scenes? There's one. Some people got some cobwebs up next door, but I haven't seen really elaborate ones. But I do know some neighborhoods in this area here that do stuff like that, because I used to live in a place where they would do the same thing for Christmas and just it'd be like the Griswolds, like just crazy shit in the front yard. So, and my sister's a pretty big Halloween fan too. They usually deck out their front porch with some stuff, but they don't go too overboard with it. But they really, really like Halloween. And I have a lot of friends. I have multiple friends who consider Halloween their favorite day, like their favorite day of the year, their favorite holiday, if you can call it a holiday. So I feel bad for everybody that's like really missing out, that always has something really, really fun planned for Halloween, and you're not being able to do it this year. That fucking sucks. So normal old day for me. You know, I just kind of went through my daily routine here and got ready for the podcast. I'll be heading off to work later and that sort of thing. By the way, the audio to this podcast will be up on the website, and it'll be up on the podcast sites as well later on. I haven't put the last couple of podcasts up because I've been working on some maintenance, doing a couple of things, changing some things around. So the podcast is going to be a little bit more organized now. I got a new intro because the other one was supposed to be a temporary one that was going to last 2 weeks while I worked with my guy on a new one. And then, as everything else in my life, I kind of got sidetracked from it. I fucking hated it. So I fixed that. That'll be all better for the weekend podcast here. So those will start being uploaded more regularly. And if I have requests to put up the Raw reviews, I will. I don't. Right now, the only ones I upload to the podcast sites are my reviews. You know, like when I do a Patreon review or a pay-per-view review or something like that, that'll go up there. And then the Winged Eagles go up there. But if you guys want the Raw reviews, I'll throw them up there. It's no skin off my back. So just let me know if that's something you want to see. Shoot me a follow or something like that on social media. Let me know. Anyway, all right, before we head into the results here, I want to give you guys the quick instructions on how to enter to win these awesome computer speakers. Like I said, I'm just giving these away because they've been collecting dust. They're brand new, never been opened, and it's a pain in the ass to return things to Amazon, and I don't want to do it, so I'm going to give them away to one of you guys. But unfortunately, the easiest way to do this is to kind of have to be like a raffle style. So here's what we're going to do. $1 super chat is all you need, $1 to enter, and you're going to pick a number between 1 and 300. And you can give me a number for every $1 that you super chat. So if you super chat $3, give me 3 numbers between 1 and 300. You can do that here. Zane G and Barry, who have already super chatted in, throw me your numbers. I'll enter them in. So once you guys give me all these numbers, on Monday, I'm just going to go to random.org, and I'm going to pick a number, have them pick a number randomly between 1 and 300. I'll record it, and I'll show you guys the random number. I'll put it on Twitter or something, showing you guys what the number is. And then on Monday night during the Raw stream, I'll announce who the winner is, and then I can get up with you, give me your address, and I'll drop the shit in the mail. Probably not Tuesday morning because Tuesday's kind of a big day, but maybe Wednesday. Drop that in the mail to you, and you'll probably have it before we do the next Winged Eagle podcast. So anyway, if you guys are interested in having a nice set of computer speakers, please feel free to enter there, number 1 through 300. And just make sure you can do a super chat so I can go back and view it, because otherwise I won't be able to. I could miss a lot of numbers if I don't do it that way. So anyway, if you're interested, there you go. Let's move into the news first. That's what we're going to kick off with here tonight before we get into the results, because we got to start with some sad news. Tracy Smothers has passed away at age 58. He was diagnosed a while back with lymphoma. So we knew he was sick, but it's kind of a sad death because he wasn't that old. And he was extremely well loved. He's probably one of the more unsung hero type of guys that you see, because he has so much of a track record, all the places that he wrestled. For example, me personally, I probably saw Tracy wrestle in like 5 promotions: WCW, WWE, and ECW, obviously, Smoky Mountain, Japan. Maybe he might pass through USWA as well. And he was really instrumental in kind of like grooming and helping guys along. He was never like the top guy. He was great in the South. I mean, he was, he kind of had a respect there. And he was probably just a good, really amazing all-around hand. that was like nice and willing to help. And he was like Bobby Eaton. You know, I kind of think of Bobby Eaton in the same way. It's just somebody that you could trust completely. They knew exactly what they were doing, and they were very underrated in terms of, you know, how they understood, you know, in-ring wrestling and things like that from a psychology perspective, and really being able to teach and always being able to give people a good match and making others look good. He had that sort of reputation, and you always have that pocket of guys that are always looked at like that. And so the love that he was seeing on social media the day of his passing was pretty overwhelming to see everybody chime in and mention stories about how he helped them personally, something nice that he did for them, giving them a place to stay, giving them some pointers in the ring, giving them some life advice, going out of his way to help them. That's all you saw. It's just like one ridiculously good deed after another. So it's a shame that he got sick like that and died what I think is too early. And this is a sad one. You know, this isn't some of the deaths recently have been from very old, you know, wrestlers and stuff. I'm like, okay, they lived a long life. It's sad or whatever, but you know, at least it wasn't a tragedy. This is just a little bit sadder because Tracy was still young and Tracy still had things to offer. Tracy still had, you know, he had a wrestling school. He trained a lot of talent that you see in the ring today. So, you know, it's feels like a little bit too early to lose somebody like him. But my memories of him, even though he was never the top guy, even though, you know, he's not revered as, you know, main eventing SummerSlams and WrestleManias and things like that, he had that respect, like I said, very similar to somebody like a Bobby Eaton, to where, you know, everybody across the board just has nothing but good things to say. So thoughts are with his family and his friends. It's a shame, and rest in peace to Tracy Smothers. If for those of you who don't know who he is, I'm trying to think. WWE has only run there. Well, he was in the 2000s, I guess, when they brought in. Did he come in with the FBI? Because he was doing the FBI deal in ECW, and then when they came in like, I don't know what the fuck it was, 03 or so. When the hell did they come in? Did they do the FBI? He might have been involved in that. And prior to that, he was there in '96. As Freddie Joe Floyd, when they gave him the name to spoof the Briscoes or whatever, and he was brought in with Dirty White Boy, who was T.L. Hopper, Salvatore Sincere, Tom Brandy, and Tracy Smothers was involved in that group, Bill Irwin, the Goon, and there might have been somebody else. It was like that little pocket of guys that they grabbed to just kind of be enhancement talent on the show, and they changed his name to Freddie Joe Floyd, which is stupid. But anyway, look him up. You know, if you just, you know, he's nothing flashy. He's not Shawn Michaels or anything, but if you just want to see somebody who knows how to work, Tracy Smothers does. Rest in peace. Hey, I just want to answer this one as well from Spaz and Barry MK. First of all, Barry MK, any Taker-related videos you have planned for November? Yes, kind of. Working on it right now. Hopefully more information on Monday. And also, Spaz, thank you. And welcome back, dude. Appreciate the $14. Hey, man, nothing to advertise this time around, but I'm still on the road to 1,100. Here's hoping you and your chat are happy, healthy, and safe, and sane. Happy Halloween and cheers. Yes, let me see. Happy, healthy, safe, and sane. Yeah, 4 for 4. As of right now, maybe upon Tuesday I won't be so sane, but right now I'm fine. Happy Halloween to you too, man. Shoot over to Spaz Phoenix's YouTube channel. Hit him up with a subscription. He is trying to get to, I guess, what, 1,100? Yeah, we can help him out there, can't we? We can probably get him 1,100 on our own. Come on. Go on over there, help him out. And, oh, good to see you back too as well, Adam Urbanski. Ooh, Barry, you're going low with your number. Right on. Anywho, okay. What's next here on the menu? We got to talk about this Twitch stuff. This is kind of sad. This is infuriatingly sad. And it's just so fucked up. Last night when I was making my notes for this, you know, to talk about this Twitch channel business, I was getting like infuriated. Like I was getting really mad about just like when I'm putting this, you know, pen to paper, when I'm putting these thoughts down, I'm like, this is really just fucked up what they're doing. So anyway, we've known for a while now that WWE has decided to crack down on sort of the third-party agreements that and deals that the talent has with stuff like Twitch channels and Cameo and anything else that they are making money on based on their like WWE names. So we kind of heard about that. It was pretty infuriating when we heard about it the first time, and it became apparent that WWE was going to no longer allow them to use what we thought was their WWE names in any of these platforms. And then it became apparent that they don't want them to use these platforms at all, even with their real names. So it was really kind of murky, the details of it at first, because we didn't really know. On one hand, you're like, okay, if they're just saying, hey, Big E, you can't be Big E on Twitch, you have to be your real name. Okay, it's a good enough argument. I can understand that. But then when you started hearing things about WWE doesn't want them doing it at all, and if they do, they're going to take control of their channel or their cameo, and they're going to get a piece and they're going to get a cut of it. And any money that the wrestlers make off of these third parties is going to go against their downside to guarantee. How is this legal? I have no idea. I mean, it must be real. There must be these contracts that these talent sign just must have the most ridiculous language in it, because WWE, I don't think, would be stupid enough to do something as blatantly illegal as this if they really haven't covered their asses and made it as such in the contract that they can actually control the wrestlers and the talent to this degree. I'm really hoping that Andrew Yang, can do something about this shit, because it just seems so wrong on a million different levels. So we heard about WWE basically telling the talent that they have a choice. If you want to continue to stream, you can, but we are now probably going to be in charge of when you stream, how you stream, and we're going to get a cut of the money. And I think some of the wrestlers can say, okay, I'm okay with that. And others are saying, fuck you, I'm shutting it down. AJ Styles was the first one to release a statement saying, hey, it's been great, guys. Don't know when the next stream will be. It might not be for a while. He admitted that WWE is making some changes internally in their policies with stuff like this. So for the time being, there's going to be no more streaming. And I think like Aleister Black and Zelina Vega, they kind of talked about it as well on a stream, and they seemed extremely pissed off. Mia Yim, maybe Cesaro, and a few other talents have shut down voluntarily their streams. And I applaud them for doing that, because what they are essentially doing is saying, no, WWE, you're going to take your disgusting shit-covered, greasy fucking mitts, and you're not going to put it on my side hustle, what I've built, what I've created. And you're going to take it from me and take my money and now control my channel and all my subscribers and the family that I've built. You're just going to take it? Fuck off. So they're just shutting it down, suspending the accounts or whatever. That way, when and if the day comes and they're done with WWE or they're not working there anymore, WWE doesn't have control of that, and they can pick up their streams right back again. But that sucks that they have to do that, especially for some people who use Twitch as or streaming or YouTube or anything like that is kind of an outlet. And I think the saddest case in all of this is the case of Paige. And Paige, I suppose from what I saw the video that everybody was talking about, and I think she kind of got this news while she was in the middle of a stream. And Paige is already, shall we say, unstable. I mean, I want to be nice. I know Paige was in a really dark place a few years ago. I know she's gotten a lot better. And this Twitch streaming platform really seems to have grounded her, centered her, so to speak. And I know she's in a good relationship and she has a lot of money. She's financially set. But herself and her very up and down roller coaster ride of emotions that she went through in that 10-minute span when she found out about this. And then she kind of was going on to say, I've had it with this company. I've broke my neck twice. I can't wrestle right now. Sometimes they call me to do the media stuff, but I can't wrestle. I'm not in the Thunderdome. I wasn't on the road. And, I've battled with, problems and demons and drug and alcohol addiction and maybe some anxiety and depression and God knows what else that's going on with her. And she's found this Twitch and it's helped her. And it's been an outlet for her. She said that. She goes, it's been my outlet. And it's been really, and she looks forward to it. She does 8 or 9 hour long streams sometimes. So this is something that's a very, very big part of her life. And to now be told by your asshole employer, that's not even really your employer, you're an independent goddamn contractor, to be told by these people that, oh, you can't do that anymore. Does WWE have any just morals at all? Do they not think I know they have to have this across the board. You can't really do it case by case or make exceptions and stuff, but you should. Paige isn't even wrestling. She's just some person that's just taking up space, making good money from WWE in her contract, but really she's not doing anything. I don't see the harm, in people and having Twitch channels on the side, but WWE wants to launch their own Twitch channel, and they don't want their own wrestlers probably being in direct competition with them. So that's all part of this. It's just at the end of the day, a really, really shitty thing to do. And it doesn't make WWE or Vince McMahon, for a company that's so damn freaked out about or so obsessed with PR and their image and shit, this makes them look like the biggest assholes ever. And, and honestly, a lot of people point the finger at Vince and say, oh, Vince, he's just a greedy son of a bitch. Yes, you're right, but is it really Vince making these decisions? Vince is like, what is he, 75 years old? Does he even know what the fuck Twitch is? Does he know what any of this stuff is? This is his minions going out on their own, and telling him about this stuff. Oh, Vince, you might not want to let the talent do this. Like, whoever's responsible for putting this idea in Vince's head, they'd be rotten hell, man. It's just so shitty, and it's so unnecessary, too. When this company is just making, just a ridiculous amount of money, and they are bringing in huge profits despite a pandemic, when everybody else in the world is suffering, and here they just have to have a little bit more. It's never enough. Give me more. Give me more. And yes, these wrestlers, their WWE names and personas are a big reason why people are tuning in, but they still build a lot of subscribers based on people wanting to come in and see these people, see them in this environment, seem to be seeing them like a regular person in their own homes. That's how you guys develop relationships with me. That's how you guys develop relationships with everybody on YouTube. It's good for the wrestlers. It's good for the audience. It's good for everybody. And WWE sticking their big fat fucking snouts in there to ruin it is exactly why this company makes me want to barf. And if Paige, I'm not saying it's going to go this far, but Paige, when you saw her react there, she's a hot mess a lot of times. She was all over the place. She was in tears, and she's like, how can you guys do this to me? And then she, in the end, she kind of came around and maybe gathered her thoughts a little bit, backpedaled slightly. I was still very happy to have a job. Don't get me wrong. I just don't understand why it has to be this way. You've completely stressed out, somebody that doesn't need to be stressed out. This nonsense and this constant desire to take every penny and every dime and nickel that you possibly can from every place that you can, could come at the expense, of some of your talent. And some of it could be serious. Some of it could be like from a mental health perspective. This Twitch channel clearly seems like it helps Paige. 100%. Without it, she seems lost based on her reaction. So the fact that WWE is still perfectly fine with taking that away from her or saying, you can still do it, but it's under our control now, which is also bullshit, because now that it's under their control, they're going to be able to say what she can do and what she can say and what she can wear, because Paige has her things out in every stream and everything. I'm not on Twitch, so I don't know, but I've seen enough, clips of her on there to know that she kind of likes to dress like that on those Twitch streams, and that's her prerogative. That's her choice. That's how she's building her audience, and then she's developing relationships, and she deals with enough hate for that. So if she's willing to do that, that's her call. WWE should just, my point is WWE should not control anybody's personal life to that level. I can wear what the fuck I want. I can say what the fuck I want. You don't tell me to do anything. I'm an independent contractor. I don't understand how this is legal. If my boss, who I work for, came to me and told me that I couldn't do YouTube anymore, I'm like, yes, I can, asshole. It's sad. And it's just such a good thing. I think there's no downside to the talent doing this on their own, especially when you compare the talent of today to wrestling and wrestlers of the 80s and the 90s who were constantly hooked on drugs, alcohol, sex. It was a mess. It was a madhouse back in the day. I mean, just constant bad decisions and just really dirty people doing bad things, doing nasty shit. And here you have talent that is, for the most part, they're well behaved. They're not nearly as hooked on drugs as they used to be. None of them are alcoholics. Most of them, if they're addicted to anything, they're addicted to Xbox. And to start controlling that and taking that away, when wrestlers, they have a shelf life on how long they can be in the ring, this is a great way for them to put some extra money in their pockets and for WWE to take that. I don't see how you can possibly, anybody across the board, no matter where you stand, how you can possibly defend that. It's so messed up. So I just hope that, some of the talent is, ones like Paige. I really hope that she's able to keep herself occupied. She said herself, I'm going stir crazy. I'm sitting on my ass all the time, going crazy in this house. And that probably goes not only for Paige because she can't wrestle, but for a lot of wrestlers because they're stuck in their house due to the pandemic. All the WWE people are in Florida right now. They're doing very little traveling. They have a lot of time to themselves. Why can't they just stream video games with their audience? Like, what the fuck? So I just think this whole situation sucks. There might be more coming. There might be some more changes coming down the line. Apparently, some talent did meet with Vince McMahon to kind of pitch them to pitch to him why they should be allowed to keep the Twitch channels. Apparently that fell on deaf ears because you can see talent, beginning to shut things down. So Vince wasn't receptive to that apparently. But a lot of talent also said there's still a lot of unknowns. So maybe this could change. Maybe there could be a compromise. It would be so nice if some of the bigger talent would, just kind of rise up and say, no, this is bullshit, because some of the underneath talent, might not be able to do that. So it just kind of depends, like somebody like AJ Styles, for example. I think AJ, if I was him, I would be pretty pissed. But AJ's also in a situation where he just signed a new deal. He's been treated very well since he's been in WWE. They put the title on him. Here's a guy that we all thought for years, if he ever got to WWE, he'd be no more than a cruiserweight or an NXT or 205 Live or what. He'd be a guy like that and just be on the undercard and be lost in the shuffle. He was given the title 9 months after he got there. He's a multi-time WWE champion. He gave The Undertaker his final match. He's won lots of championships in the company, and he has that kind of respect and trust that a Shawn Michaels had in terms of sending a guy out there knowing that he can go out there and do what he can do. So he's been treated marvelously. So he's in a position where I can kind of understand. He does not like it, and he's probably pissed, but at the same time, it's either this or, I can finish my career in the WWE, go into their Hall of Fame, really put a nice cherry on top of what has been a lifelong, back-breaking journey of pro wrestling. To throw it all away now for a Twitch channel, it's one of those things that sucks, but they kind of got AJ by the balls. In terms of if I was in AJ's position after wrestling for 25 years and I know this is it and I'm coming here in the end and I finally made it to the big time at the very tail end of my career and I performed well and I won championships and I really elevated myself to a mega star, making it to the top of WWE, being able to go out like that, I'd probably choose that too, even though I would do it gritting my teeth the whole time and I would find it disgusting. It's like I've worked too hard for this, to get to this point, to have an argument with Vince over a Twitch stream and then leave the company, and then, that's the end of my career. So there's certain wrestlers that I can see why they have to just adhere and say, okay, whatever. I'm happy that AJ shut his down instead of letting WWE take it over. I'm happy for anybody that shut theirs down and saying, no, you're not taking it. I think it was Adam Cole is still streaming, so maybe I don't know if it includes NXT wrestlers. I'm assuming it does. He's back streaming, so maybe he's one of the people that said, okay, WWE, you can have it. Take your cut. I just want to continue to stream. So apparently that is the option for a lot of these wrestlers, but still, if I was somebody like a Paige or like an AJ who's built up a huge, giant group of followers, I would not want to hand it all over to WWE because you're essentially just flushing it down the toilet. So best of luck to everybody affected by this. I've been talking about getting on Twitch for a while now, even though I don't game. I do some retro gaming, which I think I could do and incorporate to the Twitch channel. I really need to start looking into that and seeing if I can learn Twitch, learn the platform. You guys, including Barry, have sent me some DMs about how it works and how, you can do non-gaming sections of Twitch where I come up here and maybe do a live stream or commentary or something. We're going to start looking into that because YouTube ain't going to last forever. So we'll see. We will see. But man, such a shame about the Twitch stuff. I know it sucks. Anyway, let me cruise up here and see what's going on super chat wise, see if any numbers are coming here. All right, cool. There we go. Thank you for that, Spaz. You got your number. Oh yeah, sweet. Cool. All those numbers going in here with my numbers because I got to go. Havoc was the best pay-per-view of 2020. We're going to be getting into Halloween Havoc in just a minute. Okay, cool. You'll cast your vote for Raw reviews in pod form. Sure, I'll upload them. I never do because the reviews are usually casual. A lot of times they're 2 hours long. We spend 1 hour on the results and the other hour just screwing around. So maybe I'll upload a condensed version or whatever. But yeah, if you guys want them on the podcast, I'll put them on there. Thank you, Digital Lizard. Appreciate the 5 as well. Okay, so thank you for that. Ghostly Boy saying it does not include NXT stars. They have different contracts. That is true. They make a lot less money. So it would really suck for them, especially if you got an NXT star who's really got a good following on Twitch and makes a good chunk of revenue from that. And then WWE already takes it away when they're already not being paid much. That does make sense that it wouldn't be for them. Yeah, a lot of you guys have mentioned Discord to me as well. I'm completely illiterate on that stuff. What Discord is even about, but I know it's kind of like a conversation place. Yeah, Paige has been really. She said she was meeting with a unionization lawyer and things like that. So I mean, it's going to take a lot more than Paige to take down WWE here. They're going to need some interference, and they're going to need some intervening from government, I think, to finally say, all right, enough is enough. You guys are treating these people like slaves. Not anymore. But things like this and decisions like this is what's going to get the ball rolling. And I mentioned this weeks ago when this first came out about the Twitch and Cameo stuff. I'm like, WWE, to go through all this trouble just to put a little extra coin in their pocket, this could wind up backfiring and setting course a chain of events that completely fucks them over in the long run, where it's going to take, it's somebody in Washington will take notice and say, you know what, let's investigate. This can't be allowed to go on anymore. And if WWE would have just been cool, nothing probably ever would have happened. Just keep your talent happy. So this is just sad, and I think it's because it's also relatable to me because I'm on YouTube. I stream a couple times a week talking to you guys, and if it just suddenly had to be turned off, or somebody said, "Oh, by the way, you can still do this, but I'm going to tell you when and where to do it." Oh, and I'm taking your money, then I'm going to be like, "Well, it's not going to be fun anymore." Like, I've worked hard to develop this GMW family here. I don't want you to take it away. Or if somebody said you can't do it at all. When you're used to that, it's now it's been so many years, YouTube is a part of my life. I consider it a second job. I pay a lot of bills with the revenue I make here. It is a part of my day-to-day life all the time. Whether I'm streaming or not, I'm always working on something, making notes, working on a review, some shit like that, checking emails, talking to you guys. There's always something going on here related to the channel. It's a big part of my day-to-day goings on. And for the wrestlers, it's the same deal. And for that, all of a sudden, the plug to be pulled on that's jarring, and that's why some of the more, maybe troubled people like Paige, who, kind of really struggles, as we saw in that whole reaction there. She was all over the place. This is not a good thing for her. You should allow, it's her outlet. It keeps her head screwed on straight, keeps her sane, keeps her focused, leveled, that sort of thing. And she likes it. It's fun. She enjoys it. That's the biggest thing there. After everything Paige is gone through and the things she's done, for her to find something so enjoyable that is also so ridiculously safe and good for her, it gives me this pit of my sickness in the pit of my stomach type of feeling to think that WWE would take that away. And they'd happily do it because they're monsters. Absolute monsters. Anywho, speaking of WWE and their head honcho, Vinnie Mac, WWE and Netflix have paired up, and apparently they're going to be making a docu-series about Vince McMahon. Bill Simmons is going to be an executive producer on this, I think, and he also worked on another documentary, I think maybe the Andre the Giant one, and maybe another one. And apparently this is going to be done in a similar fashion to what they did with The Last Ride with The Undertaker, and I'm looking forward to that. Netflix is, obviously very big. There's a lot of money going to be behind this project. It's really going to be well done, and for Vince to agree to this, it's going to be big because they're going to delve into a lot of stuff. I've always been insanely curious about his early life. I mean, we know a little bit about his early life. Lived in North Carolina. Trailer park type of stuff. Went back and reunited with his dad. Changed his name from Lupton to McMahon, and then took over the family business from there. But given who Vince was, some of his, he went to military school, and, he was kind of a strange youth, strange adolescent kid. And I've always thought that just something went down in that trailer park. I don't know what. I just think that as a kid, something happened to Vince that made him the type of person that he is. You know what I mean? And it's just going to be interesting. I think he's probably has one of the more fascinating lives that could ever be documented. And I think it's about time that something came out on him. There's been talk of a biopic on him for years, that people have been talking about, the Vince McMahon movie and stuff. This I'm almost more looking forward to because I know it's going to be done well. So no idea yet on any sort of release date for this or when production will begin, but that's interesting. And yeah, I'm curious what maybe Vince is thinking, hey, I'm 75 years old now. I'm, not going to be alive much longer. If I ever want something like this to be done and be a part of it, probably should do it sooner rather than later. But I always thought he was kind of against this stuff, for the most part. But it's going to be good. I think this is going to be, it's going to rank right up there with the Last Ride stuff. It's going to rank up there with any of the Vice Beyond the or Dark Side of the Ring series that we had. I think it's going to be really good. So anyway, keep a lookout. Vince docuseries. Holy shit. Who saw the murder? I just have this written down because all I've seen is this segment, so it's completely out of context for me. But apparently there was the, what's the guy's name? Something Bravo? I don't even know anybody in Impact. I don't watch Impact. But I saw the segment. The people out there that I recognized was Tommy Dreamer, Hornswoggle, whatever they're calling him there, James Mitchell, and there was some sort of a wedding, right? And they're doing the whole segment. It's so over the top. Everybody's dressed up. It's just crazy, super crazy. Lights go. It's so cheesy and so bad. Lights go out. And you hear a gunshot, but you also see like a flash on the screen. Lights come back up. Bravo's laying there, blood in his chest, shot right in the chest. And everybody's just like standing around. Nobody's helping him. And they're just like, oh my God, nobody get, if there's a gunshot, nobody ducks down. Dreamer, who's dressed up like Road Warrior Animal, runs up to him and just goes, why? And I thought it was spectacular. Hats off to Impact. I saw people complaining about this. Oh my God, why didn't people duck when there was a bullet? It's so unrealistic. It's supposed to be unrealistic. If you think for 1 second that TNA or Impact is trying to pass this off as the fans at home are going to believe somebody was shot, you are a fool. To me, it wasn't a situation where it's so bad it's good. It's so good it's good. I liked the absurdity of it because you know what? It's an absurd year. 2020, fuck it, let's kill someone in the ring. Why not? What's the worst that can happen? And like I said, within 1 week's time, we got Low Dinner Debonair. We got Who Shot Bravo. We had Law and Otis. We had all the wacky stuff we saw at Halloween Havoc. It's been a crazy week, and I think this being a part of it is fitting almost. So, like I said, I don't watch enough Impact. Impact's been getting good reviews from a lot of the fans. People say that it's been a pretty entertaining show for the most part. This was so ridiculously over the top and out there. You can't help but love it. And I don't know. You guys can fill me in on the context there, how and what came about. And now apparently there's this mystery that's going to be on Impact. And apparently it's a whodunit type of thing. So they got to find out who shot him. So I don't know how they're going to go about finding this out, if they have something planned or if it's going to be a big reveal or if there's going to be a weeks-long investigation on TV that builds up to some sort of big payoff. I don't know, but bravo to Impact for just saying, what the hell, let's just shoot someone. Good for them. I'd say if it was anybody, my guess for the culprits, in terms of wrestling and guns, Brian Pillman or Bruce Pritchard. One of those two, I think, might have been responsible. If not one of them, I have no idea. Anywho, that's all I've really got written down. Oh, Johnny Bravo, that's right. That's all I really have written down for the news. I want to touch on a Raw preview, for Monday. Now, I was up here this past week doing a review. You can catch that on the channel if you want to look at my thoughts from this past week's Raw. This coming Monday, they got 3 matches at least announced right now on WWE social media. They've got the New Day taking on the Hurt Business. That's kind of interesting. Makes me wonder if the Hurt Business are going to be targeting the tag titles. They have Jeff Hardy versus Elias in a guitar on a pole match. Big surprise. They've literally been doing 50-50 booking with the guitar. They've been, it's bad enough we get the shit in matches. They're doing it with the guitar as well. Both guys, I think, have hit each other twice each or something. And now on Monday, it's going to be up on a pole. And like I said in the Raw review on Monday, I'm sick of guitar shots. I'm tired of them. There's just too many. They're not just fun anymore. First one I saw, my heart sank into my stomach. First guitar shot I ever saw was staying up late and watching my favorite Saturday Night's Main Event episode of all time. Opening match, Honky Tonk Man defending the Intercontinental Championship against Randy Savage. And that was the famous episode where Elizabeth got shoved down by the Honky Tonk Man. And she went and got Hogan, and that's where the Mega Powers formed for the first time. Well, prior to that, Hart Foundation's holding Savage, and Honky's got the guitar, and he just whacks Savage right over the head with the guitar, puts a hole in it instead of like shattering, like balsa wood or driftwood or whatever these things are made out of, shattering into a million pieces with a whole bag of flour in the middle of it. He just pokes a hole right through the back of the guitar. It was great. I suppose I guess the Snake Pit guitar shot came prior to WrestleMania 3. So I guess, but that was a segment. In the ring, it was the Honky on Savage. But now it's been so many years, and we've had the Jeff Jarretts of the world come in and out of there and smashing guitars over thousands of people, and Elias just does it to death. He's done it in every feud he's ever had, and I'm tired of it. So anyway, Hardy versus Elias, guitar on a pole match. Who cares who wins, really? Probably, maybe Elias. He just came back. Seems like he's got to pick up a victory at some point. And they've also announced Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke taking on Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Apparently that's a non-title match, and Mandy and Dana just want to make a statement. Ooh. So anyway, that's what we got on tap for this Monday's Raw. Join me after the show, and we'll review it. We're going to get into Halloween Havoc next because I thought this was just terrific. By the way, can you guys smash that thumbs up button for me? I'd super appreciate it. Get those likes up for me. Aside from raffle numbers, any other super chats coming in at the moment? Nope, not at the moment. By the way, if you're just tuning in and you want a chance to win these awesome computer speakers, just pick a number between 1 and 300, and any super chat for $1 or more, give me your numbers. If you super chat $2, give me 2 numbers. $3, 3 numbers. $1 number 1 through 300, and whoever picks the number or comes the closest, I'll drop these things in the mail to you on Wednesday morning. And like I said, the only reason I'm giving them away is because I bought them. Turns out I don't need them, and returning things on Amazon is a pain in the ass. So we're going to raffle them off, give them away to one of you guys if you're interested. Let's get into Halloween Havoc. This was a great show from top to bottom. I knew it was going to be fun, but based on the card and what they had set up, I was kind of a little bit confused. I thought we would definitely see a title change, but I didn't even think it would be as good as it was, and I think it was better. They did, I got to say this, NXT did score its first ratings win in many weeks over AEW. They came in with 876,000 to Dynamite's 781. So it's a pretty sizable victory for NXT as well, but it was Halloween Havoc. It's, bringing back a throwback concept like this. When they announced it, I marked the hell out. Plus, they got 2 title matches announced for the show. It's going to be Halloween themed. They've built it up well. It's, honestly a show that they should win in the ratings. And not only did they win in the ratings, to me, they won hands down in terms of what was the better show. I thought Dynamite has been coming in with the better shows 85% of the weeks so far in this first year of the Wednesday Night Wars, but when NXT bounces back, they really do, and this Halloween Havoc was really, really fun. We were all wondering what they were going to do with the set, because of course they are kind of confined there in the Capitol Wrestling Center. It's not very big in terms of bringing out the big giant pumpkin. I didn't think they were going to be able to do that. But they kind of did, but man, it was not nearly as good as WCW's. The set itself looked great. They had like a graveyard, lots of props, lots of stuff on the video wall, lots of Halloween themed stuff everywhere. I thought the set looked great, but the big pumpkin was ridiculous. The WCW Halloween Havoc set with the big pumpkin being held by the big demon, that looked so good. This pumpkin looked like WCW's pumpkin's crackhead cousin. It had this goofy smile, crooked ass eyes. And luckily, the big pumpkin didn't last because it was inflatable. And the opening match was the North American title match between Damian Priest and Johnny Gargano. And Johnny sliced it in his entrance and popped the big pumpkin. So I loved that big, ridiculous-looking thing did not sit out there for the entire show. But overall, the set and the feel look good for what they did. It's the same thing with In Your House. I thought In Your House looked great in the Performance Center there. And this looked pretty good as well. So I think they pulled off in terms of the look and the vibe and the atmosphere. Big shout out to Shotzi Blackheart, who I think was born for a role like this, for her to host this event. I think she had something like 3 different wardrobe changes. She looked great in all of them. She really had a good time, it seemed like, up there doing the spin the wheel thing and being the host of the show and having various segments cutting to her throughout the 2 hours. I thought was perfect, and she was excellent in the entire thing. Like I said, we opened up with the North American title on the line, Johnny Gargano versus Damian Priest. Now, in my podcast on Monday night, I kind of predicted that we'd see at least one title change because Johnny and Candice both got title shots at the TakeOver, and they both lost. So to do this again and walk away with 2 losses again seemed like, why would they even book it? So I was almost thinking they would both win the titles, but I definitely thought one would. But I kind of had this backwards. I thought it would be Candice. But anyway, they opened up. Damian Priest has this really awesome guitar solo entrance. Johnny Gargano, and again, I suck at Halloween. I suck at horror movies. I suck at comic books. I suck at superheroes. Johnny and probably a lot of wrestlers Johnny had like a themed outfit of some kind. I don't know what it is. I know it was paying tribute to some sort of a character. You guys can help me out who that was, but they both look pretty good coming out there. Very cool entrances. Shotzi, this was a spin the wheel, make the deal match. So Shotzi spins the wheel. Turns out to be a Devil's Playground match. So basically, this is just a do whatever the hell you want match with all sorts of fun props and weapons and things like that. I really liked, I think, my favorite spot of the whole match. They had all sorts of shit. They had like a graveyard, they had tombstones, they had big coffins, and I guess like a dummy or a skeleton had shot out of one of the coffins standing up, and Johnny Gargano hit it with the best looking super kick I've ever seen. I kicked the damn dummy's head off. It just looked funny. Like comedically, not only was it a great super kick, but he didn't pull that kick at all. Just knocked the shit out of the dummy. I laughed my ass off for that. It was really fun all over the place because they were fighting, throughout the set and everything, and that's kind of what made it fun. It was a really good brawl, and the wrestling in the ring was really good as well. In the end, we saw a masked man show up. I thought it was a Grim Reaper, but it was a Scream mask from the movie Scream. Masked man comes in with a hood, wearing that thing. He winds up helping Johnny Gargano. He hands him like one of those prop tombstones, like it's a real tombstone, and he picks it up and smashes Damian Priest in the head with it. He goes falling off the stage, and Johnny pins him and wins the North American title with the help of this mysterious mystery attacker. So now we've got another mystery on our hands for Halloween Havoc. This one did somewhat surprise me. Prior to this match happening, I thought if either Gargano was going to lose their match or win the title, it would be Candice, because Priest is kind of a new North American champion, and he hasn't held the belt that long. So this kind of surprised me. I'm not complaining about it at all. I thought it was a really fun match, and it was a good finish. Johnny Gargano had to have a lot of help to be able to beat Damian, so Priest, can come back here for a rematch, but now Johnny Gargano is a two-time North American champion. I think he's the first person to hold that belt twice, and that's pretty cool. I really don't have any issue with that. I am just surprised that they took it off Priest that quickly. So when that happened, I thought for sure that Candice was going to win too, because I thought they would also have a title change in the main event. So I'm like, if Candice is going to lose, they'd open with this match. They'd open with Candice and then finish with Gargano and Priest, but that didn't happen. That was reversed, and we'll talk about that main event here in a minute because there was an interesting side note to that. Anyway, next up we had Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee is back. He's out in the ring to explain himself. He, of course, turned up as the masked man last week, aligned himself with Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, and went on to say that, he paid off Ridge Holland, but now he wants to go after the person that hurt Ridge or whatever the fuck, this very long-winded, drawn-out explanation. That brings out Kyle O'Reilly, who comes out to the stage by himself, and he's backed up by a returning Pete Dunne. So Pete Dunne comes out there to join Kyle O'Reilly. Pete Dunne looked amazing, much like Kalisto, who was gone for a while and came back just ripped. He really leaned down and looks to be just in insane shape. Now, he gets in the ring there. McAfee and Oney Lorcan, I think, powder out. He's in the ring with O'Reilly, and the only thing I didn't like about this is it was a little bit too obvious, just the way they were positioned in the ring and the way O'Reilly had his back turned. I'm like, oh shit, Dunne's going to turn, and he did. I think he whacked O'Reilly with the chair. McAfee, Oney, and Lorcan all come in. The four of them beat the shit out of Kyle O'Reilly, leave him laying, and basically Pete Dunne is here to fill the missing place that Ridge Holland left when he suffered that devastating injury. He's going to be gone for a while. So I mentioned this a week ago. We talked about this last week on the podcast, that when McAfee was revealed to be the masked man, what that told me is they're setting up some sort of a War Games match between McAfee and company and Undisputed Era. Somebody told me that we're not getting a War Games, but I think, we still could. I don't know if it's necessarily in pay-per-view form. I don't think we're getting a takeover on Survivor Series weekend, but we could get a War Games match on NXT. It doesn't have to be a pay-per-view. It could just be on TV. So the fact that we've already seen the one-on-one with Cole and McAfee, the fact that you've got 4 guys in McAfee's stable and 4 guys in Undisputed stable, the War Games, that's what they're going to do, right? So it feels like that's going to be coming up on the horizon there. Pete Dunne is now turned heel. He joins McAfee's stable probably as a last-minute, fill-in or replacement, but I think that's an excellent replacement, and, and he's got a more proven track record than Ridge Holland anyway. So I think that's perfect. I think he fits in well there, and that should make a really fun confrontation when those 8 guys come together. And we'll see. I think if you're going to do some sort of a turn with Undisputed Era, maybe that's where you do it. You got to remember, Adam Cole beat Pat McAfee in their one-on-one match. I feel like Pat might get that win back here in this group environment, and one good way to do that is to have one Undisputed Era member defect or turn, costing the team the victory, as we saw a couple of years ago with Dakota Kai when she blasted poor Tegan Nox in the cage there and just kicked her ass. I think, or that was last year, right? And then the team was shorthanded going in. So you could do a deal like that, because you got to remember they got those little holding pens, which I think is so silly. So maybe something goes down in the cage and Undisputed Era, Roddy or something turns, or O'Reilly turns and leaves or whatever, and that allows, that puts McAfee's team in an advantage and they beat him that way. I don't know. So if you are going to turn Kyle heel or something, maybe you do it there. But I smell a War Games match going on with those 8 dudes. Pretty good match too with Santos Escobar and Jake Atlas. Santos had the Rey Mysterio Halloween Havoc 1997 gear, kind of on the bottom, the purple with the little question mark looking things. That's very cool. We just saw Seth Rollins do that a while back. Did he do that at SummerSlam, or did he do it at the Eyeball match? I forgot when he did it, but he recently tributed that same gear as well. This is a little bit more fitting because it is Halloween Havoc. Thought that was a really nice touch by Santos. He needed a ton of help to win this match as well, with Mendoza and Wilde interfering, and he wound up hitting his finish on Jake Atlas, getting the pin there. We had a crazy match, this Haunted House of Terror match between Dexter Lumis and Cameron Grimes. Cameron was out in the parking lot earlier on in the show waiting for his ride, which apparently is some beat-up, busted-ass white van with Michael Hayes jumping out. Hayes jumped out of the van. Bad Street USA is playing in the background. I couldn't really hear what he was even saying to Cameron Grimes, but him just jumping out of there randomly, I thought was kind of interesting because they're sort of alike. Cameron Grimes probably patterns a little bit of himself after Michael Hayes. They do have similar kind of mannerisms, similar body style. They gyrate in the same way. He's got a touch of Freebird in him, Cameron Grimes, because he's just so out there. He's no crazier than Jimmy Garvin, but he's almost like maybe a hybrid of Garvin and Hayes, sort of. He reminds me of both in a couple of different ways, especially the way he's always like dancing around and shit. So I thought that was cool that Michael Hayes jumped out, because I think he might be a big influence on Cameron Grimes. They take Cameron to the site, I guess. At first, when he got out of the car, it looked like the same site as the Boneyard match, but it wasn't. It turned out to be a cinematic type of deal. It was really well filmed and I thought really well produced, but not. I think this one was a miss. I don't know what NXT cinematic matches don't seem like they've been as good as main roster cinematic matches for some reason. I liked the Gargano and Ciampa one, but a lot of fans didn't. So that one didn't really come off very well. And then this one here, I thought was funny. There's a couple moments that was making me laugh, but some of the zombie stuff, it was just silly. It was just like the Who Shot Bravo thing. It was just so dumb that I was entertained by it anyway. Cameron winds up getting so freaked out. He just runs. He just like runs out of that fucking house or something. They show a shot of him running down the road, just like, he's just running for miles to get back to the PC. He finally finds himself up there. So they do like a to be continued type of deal. And we come back into the arena later on. Grimes is back. And then he's into the arena. He's into the Halloween Havoc set. And he's trying to avoid these zombies. These zombies are coming after him, walking backwards like the crab walk. And, they're trying to get to him. And he's in the ring now. And he's backing off from the zombies. And Dexter Lumis appears behind him, grabs him in the choke, and just chokes him out. And, that's how Dexter wins. So that all was fun. I kind of liked that it was a 2-part deal. Half cinematic and half, I guess not regular match, because he was still avoiding zombies and shit. It was just a crazy Halloween Havoc themed match. And even though I didn't think it was the best cinematic type of match we've seen, I still find myself getting a chuckle out of it. Here's a match that I really liked. Might have liked it more than anything else on the show, maybe because I was pleasantly surprised with how good it is. Rhea Ripley and Raquel Gonzalez. Raquel is reminding me of like Wardlow in AEW, where I didn't see much of him before. He's big and he looks great, but I thought that's all it was going to be. Because, the way he looks, I'm like, why doesn't Vince have his hands on this guy? He looks like Roman Reigns. Why wouldn't WWE want this guy? If they ever had him, I just kind of thought that he was going to be a guy that looked big and menacing played his role well, but in the ring maybe couldn't do much. But in the ring, he's really good. Raquel is kind of the same deal. You're not going to want to not put somebody as big as her on TV. She's got a presence about her. She's big, she's strong, she's awesome looking, she's terrifying. But what can she do in the ring? She can do a lot in the ring, and her and Rhea Ripley beat the shit out of each other. It reminded me actually kind of like a Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre match. Just two, big wrestlers beating the shit out of each other. And these ladies killed it. I just really appreciated, the hard-hitting stuff, because you don't see a lot of women's matches like that, to where they're, just stiff shots, and they're laying them in, and they're giving it to each other here. And Rhea, is really, holding her own against this monster who's also holding her own against the former NXT champion as well. What I also liked about this is there didn't appear to be, at least that I saw, any finisher kickouts in here. Rhea Ripley was able to counter a power bomb at one point. I think Raquel even countered a riptide. Rhea was trying to riptide her from like the second rope, and Raquel was able to get out of that. And in the end, I think it was a power bomb counter that allowed Rhea to hit the final riptide and pin Raquel for the win. But I just thought, in terms of like a match with two like larger women, I was kind of worried, even though Ripley is very good and Raquel has been ridiculously impressive so far. That choke slam thing that she does is one of the best ones I've seen. Like, she is really strong and really big, but I thought in there against somebody also really strong and really big, maybe it would be a little clunky or whatever, and it was anything but. So bravo to both. Raquel, I'm a believer. I like her a lot, and I think she's gonna go on to do big things, man. That was a really, really good match. So I'm hoping Rhea can get back to the top now that she has this big win here. It seemed like, I think it was last week or the week before, Triple H kind of endorsed her on TV a little bit. You're the future star. You're the next one in line type of deal. So it feels like they could be going back in the Rhea Ripley direction. I hope they do. And this was a match that I hope goes appreciated backstage, because I appreciated the hell out of it. It was great. As great as that match was, as crazy as the Loomis and Cameron Grimes stuff was, and as awesome as I thought the Gargano title win was, nothing compared to Drake Maverick dressing as Hollywood Hogan and then being confronted by the Giant and the Yeti, and they recreated the Giant humping bear hug from Halloween Havoc 1995, I guess. That I jumped off the couch and marked out with excitement. It was the best thing I've ever seen. And then, not to be outdone, after they recreate the humping thing, you see in the background Killian Dane with the Shockmaster helmet on, and he doesn't fall down. Drake Maverick's pissed because he's like, hey, I set this thing up for you to fall down or whatever, and I worked a long time on this helmet for you, and forget it, I'll just put it on. He puts it on, and then he immediately falls. And then Killian Dane, with the line of the night, he says, he fell on his ass. It's just like the British Bulldog did in the Flair for the Gold segment when Shockmaster fell down, and you can hear Davey in the background going, he fell on his ass or whatever. Fucking great. That's the exact type of thing that I needed this week. That just put a huge smile on my face of everything that we saw throughout all 4 shows this week, and all this wrestling news and all these wrestling results. This takes the cake for me. I'm marked out hard. Love that shit. Anyway, leaves us now with the main event. Io Shirai defending the NXT Women's title against Candice LeRae. This is also a spin the wheel, make the deal match, so Shotzi is out there looking fabulous. She spins the wheel. Turns out that it's going to be a tables, ladders, and scares match. So even though I love the Halloween Havoc concept, I love the spin the wheel, make a deal, I wasn't that thrilled with the 2 stipulations that they landed on. And this was basically a tables, ladders, and chairs match is what the rules would be here, but it was also scares. And they didn't really, I thought this would be more similar to what Grimes and Loomis did. I thought it was tables, ladders, and scares. You'd have zombies coming out of the fucking coffins and out of the graves and chasing Io and Candice around. The only thing that was really scary is when Candice is under the ring to pull out a bag of toys or weapons or something, and she dumps it out, and there's like severed body parts in there. That was like the only thing. And she's like, screams or whatever. So much like Rhea and Raquel, they beat the hell out of each other. They were doing a lot of fort building, as I like to call it, setting up ladders, bridging them on the apron and the ring and tables and putting them on chairs and all that stuff. So they set up a whole bunch of shit that you knew they were going to use later down the line. By the way, it should be mentioned here as well, The Io Shirai had a live entrance performance from Poppy. So Poppy's back and did that. So that kind of made me skeptical at that point if Io was actually going to drop the belt. But since this was the main event, I kind of felt it the whole time. I just felt like this was going to be it. And if Rhea Ripley is in fact going to be going after the title next, in my mind I was thinking, oh, it'd probably be better for her to work with a heel, you know, especially like a dirty heel like Candice LeRae. And how fun would it be to see Rhea Ripley beat the shit out of Johnny Gargano some week prior to the match leading up to it? That's kind of what I had in my head the whole time. So, and not that I was disappointed with the outcome here, because I was not. In the end, though, we get the returning mystery figure in the Scream mask to try to help Candice LeRae, and that's when I thought it was a done deal. I'm like, oh, here we go. Interference. Same person that helped out Johnny is going to help out Candice, but Io is able to thwart that. She's able to survive it and fend everybody off. Candice is all the way up on the ladder by herself. She's just inches away. She's just not positioned right, so she can't quite grab it. Io then climbs up with her, tosses her off the ladder. They've got the ladder still positioned on the outside of the ring from earlier, and Candice takes a sick bump, not even like a back bump. She like kind of falls on her ass, like right through it, crumples down. It might have been a safer bump in terms of how she took it, but it definitely wasn't any less painful. She fell very awkwardly through that ladder. I hope she's all right. Apparently she is, and that allows Io to safely retrieve the women's title and retain. So that was a really good match. I think it also exceeded expectations. And like I said, I have no problem with Io Shirai retaining the title. I love her. I just feel that I kind of thought they were setting up for Johnny and Candice to be dueling champions, power couple, bragging on TV, being two complete snotty assholes to everybody. I thought that would make for fun TV. So with Io now retaining, you have to wonder if they're going to set up Io and Rhea Ripley, which will be awesome, because an Io and Rhea Ripley match will be better than a Ripley and Candice match. But I think the story and the build could be more fun with Rhea and Candice, given it's a kind of a heel versus babyface thing. So we'll see. But there is a little interesting side note. Apparently there was some plans to debut. This is what I heard. This is not, I didn't get a source on this. It was coming from you guys over on Twitter. But apparently they had planned to debut a new female wrestler in the main event. But I think there was an issue with COVID and they scrapped it or held that person off. So it might have been somebody like a Thunder Rosa, who recently dropped the NWA title to Serena Deeb. It could be Tessa Blanchard. Maybe they planned on debuting some new female to help out Candice. I thought it would be Indy Hartwell if it was anybody. And it wouldn't make sense that we never got a reveal to who the person in the Scream mask was. I'm guessing it's the same person that helped Johnny and Candice, but maybe it was two different people, or maybe it was supposed to be a different person, and maybe it was supposed to be a woman helping out Candice, and then she reveals herself as the show goes off the air to be a familiar face. I don't know, but it does seem like a couple of changes were made to that main event there. So if you guys know the lowdown on that, hit me with it, because that was kind of all hearsay for the most part. That wraps it up then for NXT. We'll get into AEW here in just a second. Let me cruise back up here and knock out a couple of more super chats that might be coming in. Michael Cuomo, is it true that Yoko, thank you for the $5 by the way, is it true that Yoko originally was going to debut as the third member of the Head Shrinkers? I don't think so. I never heard that. I can see it happening based on what they did with Demolition. And then later on, the Head Shrinkers would go through some problems anyway, because Samu would leave. He would be replaced by the Barbarian like around 95 or something like that. So Yogo would have already been there. Shrinkers, when did they come in? I think Yoko might have been there before Shrinkers, because in 92 they were in WCW. But by early 93 they were there. I almost think like it might have been around Royal Rumble 93 that they debuted, and Yoko debuted prior to that. I want to say Yoko was on WWE TV first, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I could see, I think he'd fit marvelously. He's so big like that. He would be like Crush, you know, like Crush was to Demolition. But instead, they decided to make Yoko Japanese, and he was a sumo wrestler instead. Probably worked out better for him in the long run. But yeah, it's kind of first time I'm hearing that. Interesting. I love facts like that. Zane, there you are. Appreciate the $5, dude. I look like Adam Pearce. That's right, I do a little bit. He's just not as handsome as me. All right, cool. That knocks out the super chats. Let's get into AEW now. I thought this was a great show. It's still a very good Dynamite. We got, and that's all I ask. I just want NXT and AEW to both be good. Sometimes, one of them can put me to sleep a little bit and the other one is good. But when they're both good, that's when it's the best. And this definitely was a good Dynamite show. I don't think it was as good as Halloween Havoc, but it was still very good. And there were some interesting things that took place on this too, including the semifinals of the #1 Contenders tournament. And we've got a really good full gear card really taking shape now. And that pay-per-view is looking good. Like I said, 1 week from today, I believe on the 7th. It's on a Saturday, right? Doesn't AEW do their shit on Saturdays? Let me make sure so I'm not an idiot. Yeah, Saturday, November 7th. So I'm looking forward to that one because I think on paper it looks really good. Now, the first match on Dynamite this week was going to be the semifinal match, Adam Page taking on Wardlow. Prior to the match, Wardlow is interviewed backstage. MJF is there, and they plant more seeds that eventually Wardlow is going to rip the head off of Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Max even alludes to the fact that he owns Wardlow. He's like, oh, if he wins the #1 contendership and then goes on to win the title, that basically makes me champion because I own him or whatever. So Wardlow kind of gives him a look like, you better step off before Wardlow puts a hurting up on you. Sammy Guevara shows up. Probably line of the week if it weren't for Killian Dane's heartwarming tribute to the British Bulldog. Probably the line of the week would have been MJF telling Sammy Guevara that he looks like the guy that sells Adderall to high school kids. Jesus Christ. That's great. And it's very, very true. Anyway, that segment happens. Wardlow goes out to the ring. Him and Adam Page actually have a pretty good match. I was not expecting Wardlow to win here. This is only his second loss. He lost to Cody. Every other outing he's had, he's been pretty impressive. But based on, the tournament brackets, it's going to be Page in the main event. And I think I was okay with this. A lot of people were like, oh, I'm surprised they beat Wardlow. I think this is all right. Adam Page is going to be one of your top level talents, heavyweight title contender talents. So he needs a big win. He needs to put somebody, a giant or a big opponent, big, strong opponent down clean. He did. And it took 2 buckshot lariats to get it done. I was fine with the match. I thought it was a good match. And Wardlow, like I said, continues to impress. And I think, in his record, he still is only sitting at the 2 losses. So that's pretty impressive. And based on everything that we're going to talk about here in a minute with MJF and the Inner Circle and where I think that's going to go in the future, they're really setting Wardlow up to be on his own and the split from MJF. And I think that's going to come sooner rather than later with the Inner Circle stuff because I got some big ideas on that one. Eddie Kingston was up next, taking on Matt Sydal. Good to see Matt Sydal back on AEW. And props to Matt. He showed up, debuted, and kind of slipped off the top rope there and botched his debut and handled it like a champ. So shook it off. Didn't let it affect him at all. He's back. He looks just as good as ever, and I applaud him for that, for not shock mastering himself there. He handled it like a champ. So shit happens, whatever. Fans forgive him. Still a hell of a talent. Good match with Eddie and Matt. Eddie beats him with the Bulldog choke. He's kind of stealing Moxley's move, sort of. And he kind of forces Matt Sydal to say, I quit, or something like that. He's such an asshole. Gets on the mic, talks some more smack. Moxley did a promo, but he wasn't live in the arena. And Eddie says that he's, a coward and all of this. And we'll find out. I think that's going to be a really fun, violent match. If you're into that kind of thing, if you have a taste for that, I think Moxley and Kingston are going to give you that. I think they're going to give you a lot of blood, a lot of brutality. And in the end, I think Moxley is going to humble Eddie Kingston. He has to. He's not going to be dropping the belt to Eddie Kingston, at least not in my view. So the match itself, I think, is going to be really good, though. And if you want to see some blood and guts, you're going to get it there. We had a split screen interview after that with FTR and the Young Bucks. They're set to face each other at Full Gear. Bucks end up leaving. They don't even stay long in the interview because they weren't being, talked to, or they weren't being asked anything. So they got up and left and got all pissed off. And the Bucks kind of talk about why they've been acting heelish lately. And, and Matt seems to be kind of the instigator here and a lot of the stuff, taking the leeway. He's got his hair down now, seems to have a new attitude. He's not very convincing, to be honest. And then goes on to say something that I just really didn't like. Seems like they're going to rehash the same thing that Cody did with Jericho. And he goes on to say that the Bucks are, they're so confident that they're going to beat FTR. This is a team that's undefeated, by the way, FTR. So if they don't beat FTR, then they will never again challenge for the AEW titles. So now they've put themselves in this position again, just like they did with Cody. Now, you can easily get out of this. I know down the line, Cody will find a way to get back to the title, and he will find a way to challenge for it again. The stipulation means nothing, but what it does is it puts their path to the title on hold for a while. So maybe with the Bucks, if they never get a shot, they're going to let them, maybe they're on the verge of a split. You know, Nick seems lukewarm to the idea. He even says, well, he kind of made this decision, so I'm going to have to go with it or whatever. I'm half mad, I'm half excited or whatever. So it almost seems like would they do a split with the Bucks? Do the Bucks maybe before they retire want to have a little feud with themselves? You know, before they do that, there's a lot of tag teams in AEW right now. If there's ever a time to remove one and do something else, the tag team division will survive just fine without the Bucks. They got a lot of great teams there. So maybe it's something with them. Maybe they're heading towards some sort of a split, or maybe a series of single matches between themselves until they come back together and then win the tag titles in like a redemption storyline or something. Otherwise, they're going to have to beat the Bucks if they ever want to be champions again. So we'll see how that goes. I kind of think the FTR might beat them, because they've already lost. You know, the Bucks, we thought, much like Kenny Omega, they'd be champs immediately upon entering the door. Cody got some gold pretty quick, but the rest of the Elite hasn't really. So we'll see. You know, we'll see if they finally pull the trigger here, or if they make us wait even longer, and the Bucks have an even longer road to the title. We'll see. I don't know who's going to win that there, but if the Bucks don't win and they have to settle for that stipulation, how do they wind up getting it back? It's probably going to be a match. Oh, if we beat you, then we get to challenge for the titles again, or something like that. They'll undo it somewhere down the line. I just don't know how they're going to undo it, you know? But that brings us to the Town Hall. The Inner Circle stuff, Jericho and MJF, this was good. This was very good. Let me catch up the chat here. Oh, cool. Thank you for that, Zane. I will answer that in just a second. Piece of hair. All right. So next up, we had the Inner Circle Town Hall stuff with MJF. I loved this. This was great because it set up what's going to happen at Full Gear, and it maybe set up what I have been proposing for the past couple of weeks on the podcast as well. And I can kind of smell it, but a lot of my crazy predictions have not been right lately, so I could be way off on this, but this is what I think is going to happen. Anyway, it's a town hall first. It's, you know, because everything they've been doing is like in the theme of the election and shit like that. So they got Jericho and MJF set up there, and they are taking questions from audience members. A lot of this is talent. We saw Luchasaurus ask a question. Britt Baker was out there. Peter Avalon and Eric B. from Cody, Wyoming or whatever was announced. I'm like, oh shit, Wyoming, that's Bischoff. And then camera pans over to Eric. Eazy-E comes out to ask a question as well. Great to see his cameo on Dynamite, and he asks if, given their massive egos of MJF and Chris Jericho, if they can coexist if they were in fact in the Inner Circle together. And that's when, you know, MJF runs through all of his qualifications, why he should be in the Inner Circle, all of the things that he's accomplished. And that's when Jericho says, well, the one thing you haven't accomplished is you haven't beaten me. And he says, and Jericho proposes a match at Full Gear. Chris Jericho versus MJF. If you beat me, you are in the Inner Circle. So that's kind of weird to me that these two guys would now, after they've been having kind of a love-hate relationship, they've been getting along, but now they're actually going to fight, you know, and then if Jericho loses, you think he's going to be okay with that and say, okay, you beat me, come on into the Inner Circle. It's not going to work that way. So the stipulation to me seems a little strange, that they would wrestle each other, they would fight each other to find out if they can be teammates together. Kind of a weird way to put it there, but I almost feel like this is where you got to do the big swerve. So MJF agrees to the match, and of course, the Inner Circle members, if you've noticed on TV lately, they're kind of going out of their way to let it be known how much they don't want MJF in the Inner Circle. Next week, there's going to be a tag team match. Is it Santana and Ortiz against MJF and Wardlow? I think they're going to have some sort of a tag team match with two Inner Circle members and MJF and Wardlow. Sammy Guevara does not like MJF. They've been insulting each other, the big jacket controversy and all of that stuff. And it seems like he's got all this heat with all these members of Inner Circle. So why does he want to be a part of the group? Like, it makes no sense. So what I've been proposing in the past few weeks is doing some sort of a major turn here. What I think is going to wind up happening, I think, is that the Inner Circle members, I think, might be in on it with MJF. It's going to be interesting to see how they do the tag match, because we're going to do the tag match on the Go Home show. But up until the tag match, we hadn't seen any physicality between MJF and the rest of the Inner Circle guys. Now, Jake Hager wasn't there because he was off having a successful Bellator fight, actually. Got really beat up. Did you see that? He won by a sliver, split decision victory. Didn't get the gentleman's name. I think Brandon something. And Jake was really busted up bad, but he was wearing his AEW tights and trunks and all that, and he wound up getting the win. So good for Jake. He is still undefeated in his MMA career. So he wasn't on Dynamite, I don't think. That's why we didn't see him there. But everybody else has kind of been letting it known that they don't want anything to do with MJF. And so since we haven't seen any physicality between them, nobody's thrown a punch at MJF. They've just been insulting each other and getting each other's faces. And Sammy Guevara and the Big Jacket and the Adderall line. What if this is all a ploy? And what if all of the Inner Circle members are in on it with MJF? They've lost faith in Chris Jericho. He lost the title. He let Orange Cassidy get the better of him. He's got his inflated ego. He's the demo god. You could make a case there in storyline that the Inner Circle has lost faith in Jericho. You don't care about the team anymore. You just care about yourself and your catchphrases and your funny dinners and your funny wrestling matches and your T-shirts and your merchandise. And you're not being the leader that we thought you were. So MJF is secretly, because he cut that promo a couple months ago that said he wanted to be a part of a faction. So maybe he's slowly been able to get to all the Inner Circle members and say, hey, I'm a better leader than Jericho, and we should put forth and set in motion this big master plan to kick him out of the Inner Circle. So maybe in the match with Jericho and MJF, the Inner Circle turns on Jericho, kicks the shit out of Jericho, allows MJF to beat him, anoints MJF as the new leader of the Inner Circle, and Jericho turns babyface. That's what I think they should do here, just to keep the Inner Circle fresh. Because, at one point, can you come out there and do the same silly promos and do the same silly things? Yes, the Inner Circle is extremely entertaining. I love Jericho on the mic. I love him in that role. But it's been a while now. It's been close to a year of this. And I think Jericho, given the fact that he's 50 years old, he probably should have a babyface run in AEW. Because what he's done there, has been extremely helpful. You just add MJF now to the list of the long list of young wrestlers that he's worked with since he got there. Pineapple Pete, Isaiah Cassidy, Orange Cassidy. Which Private Party member did he work with? I think it was Isaiah. Orange Cassidy. Now MJF. He's had all these matches with the Jungle Boy he worked with. He seems like he's really purposely going out there trying to work with as much as the younger talent as possible, and having little programs with them. And MJF here, might be the icing on the cake here, the final one before he turns around as a babyface and starts doing the same thing as a babyface and starts working with some of the heels. I think, he could do that for as long as he wants. And maybe, Jericho, it's been a full year now. He's been wrestling full time for AEW despite the pandemic for a full year since they started Dynamite a year ago. Maybe he's due for 2 months off. Maybe he's due to not be on TV for a while and let MJF run with it for a bit and then just turn back up 20 or beginning of the year, very first Dynamite of 2021. Jericho shows up. I don't know why this is popping in my head, but back in the day when, after the barbershop incident with the Rockers, when Shawn Michaels, when Marty Jannetty tried to escape the beatdown from Shawn by diving through the window, a few months later, it was like months later, Shawn's in the ring, Sherry has got the mirror and he's dancing, and then in the mirror you see Marty Jannetty just randomly behind Shawn, and he attacks him, and the feud was reborn. But it was a lot of months before the barbershop and that. So you don't go that long here. You just go a couple of months or whatever, and you do some sort of a segment on TV where, MJF turns around and there's Jericho. And Y2J is back. Babyface Jericho is back. I think that's something that they could do. And I think it would be interesting because I think MJF as the leader of the Inner Circle could honestly be just as entertaining as Jericho. I don't think the show would suffer replacing MJF with Jericho. Plus, if you make a big storyline out of it, and Jericho and MJF now have a 3 pay-per-view feud or something like that. The one where MJF wins and turns heel. Then they do maybe another match and Jericho wins, and then they do a blow-off and Jericho wins again. Something like that. I don't know. You could also put the title on MJF at some point. Wardlow is going to turn on him because if MJF aligns himself with the Inner Circle, I can see the Inner Circle turning on Wardlow as well. Jake Hager and Wardlow, they're not going to be able to coexist. MJF's already been shitting on Wardlow a little bit. He's going to get annoyed with him. Inner Circle can kick the shit out of Wardlow and beat him down, and maybe Jericho and Wardlow can come back together. as a babyface duo or something like that. I don't know. These are just ideas. I feel like it's got to be some sort of a turn. I'll be surprised if it's just a match and like MJF wins and then Jericho's like, okay, you're in the inner circle now. That just seems like kind of an anticlimactic way to go with the match. And then if Jericho wins, then what's the point? MJF's going to continue to campaign to be in the inner circle, or is it just dropped? I think there's way more than this than meets the eye, given, you know, the promise and the potential that MJF has and Jericho's status. This is not something that's just going to have a full gear match and then be done. And then they're going to be in the inner circle friends together. I don't think. I think something's got to happen here. I think something's got to go down. Big turn, big swerve, big twist. And that's my prediction. MJF is going to lead the inner circle, and they're going to turn on Chris Jericho. What do you think? Happy Halloween to you, too, Trey Williams. And Zane G, I'll hit that $10 super chat here in just a second once we knock out the rest of these Dynamite results. After that, we had the big TNT title rematch. Cody and Orange Cassidy went a time limit draw a couple weeks prior. This is a lumberjack match, and Cody and Cassidy were going to be able to have a definitive winner here. This is pretty good. I really like their first match together. I think I liked their first match better, but this one was still pretty good. The finish sees John Silver, who's one of the lumberjacks out there. He gets involved and he kicks Cassidy. Cody doesn't see the interference, and he winds up hitting Cassidy with the crossroads to retain the title. So I feel like Cody is another guy who's on the verge of a heel turn, but he's not quite there yet, and he was able to get an assisted victory here without really knowing it, type of thing. So that finished that, and now we're going to get Cody against Darby Allin at Full Gear for the title. And a lot of people have penciled Darby in to win the title, and for some reason I just still am not 100% feeling it. I'd love to be wrong. I always thought it would be somebody else taking the title off of Cody, but a lot of people have been calling for Darby. They think, you know, he's already had some matches with Cody already. That's why I'm surprised they're doing this one again. So if Cody's ever going to drop a match to Darby, this should be it, considering that they've had some wars before and Cody has come out on top. Maybe it's Darby Allin's time. And right now I'm inclined to kind of side with the fans on this one, that I kind of feel like he might win the title too, which would be nice, because I never thought Cody should have won it back anyway from Brody Lee. Wrestling Takedown Federation. Yeah, right. That's exactly what they should be called. Anyway, up next we had the brand new NWA Women's Champion, Serena Deeb. She's taken on a young talent named Layla Hirsch. Never really seen her before. I think she's worked a couple of dark matches, but don't know much about her. Serena got the victory. She won with their Tequila Sunrise, which I think is like a Ravishing Rick Rude type of neck breaker or something. And she got the win there. She beat Thunder Rosa for the title here up in LA earlier on in the week, and was able to get to Dynamite in time to do I don't know, did she defend it here, or it was just I think it was a non-title match. But what's odd to me is that the women's division in AEW already seems, you know, pretty weak. I think Serena is a great addition. Thunder Rosa coming in in and out was a great addition, but still they're lacking bad. And I don't think you need two titles in a division that is as weak as it is. And the NWA title, that's Billy Corgan's title, that's not an AEW title, is on Dynamite more often than the AEW one. When was the last time Hikaru Shida was on Dynamite? I guess she was a couple weeks ago. And I think they're putting her together. I think they're setting up a match between her and Nyla Rose at Full Gear. But I've seen very little of that built on Dynamite. But the NWA title has been on Dynamite a pretty good amount of weeks in a row in the past few weeks. So that's kind of weird to me. I don't know what the hell's going on there. I love Serena. I think she looks great. At this point in her career, she's a veteran who's good, and she's a good person to have there and have a title, because she is an AEW. She is under contract, I believe, to AEW. So I'm glad that she's the champion and everything. It's just I don't even know if you need two titles really floating around in that company. And I don't know what the future holds with Thunder Rosa either. There was talk that maybe she could even turn up in NXT or WWE or something down the road. Who knows? But now that Serena's the NWA champion, we'll see what's going on there. Like I said, I just think that as weak as their women's division is, 2 championships is not what they need. What they need to do is put the AEW title on Britt Baker. That's something I mentioned last week as well, because she's very over. She's very funny. She's a great heel. You have no other storylines or character development really going on much in your women's division at all as it is. So being able to have somebody on top that's going to be able to offer you good segments and get the women's division over and, and provide and perform every week for you in that way and get a reaction from the audience is what you should do. It's not you shouldn't wait on Britt Baker anymore. Pull the trigger, put her in a match with Hikaru Shida as soon as possible and have her win the title. But Nyla Rose, might be in line to get the title back if she does beat her at Full Gear. We'll see. But if it was up to me, I'm crowning Britt right now. We had Sean Spears sighting. He's back. He's putting together a nice little winning streak on TV as well. He defeats VSK. He's been wearing the little black glove for some reason and coming off as a real kind of methodical ass kicker. We see there's like a guy in a big bull costume on the outside of the ring, and Sean tries to attack him. Turns out to be Scorpio Sky. They've been feuding a little bit, and Scorpio Sky lays him out, and that was the end of that. So that'll probably lead to Scorpio and Sean. I don't know if that's officially announced for Full Gear. I feel like that's something that could be a buy-in match or something. I don't know. I don't have the card written down here, but we kind of have it in our head. We'll go through it here at the end of the results here. But Sean Spears, we'll still see if he can find greatness. I think he's doing all right now, but I don't know if I'm a believer yet. Main event time. This was a damn good match. Kenny Omega taking on Penta. Now, last week, Rey Fenix defeated him, but Phoenix got injured, so Penta is able to replace him here. Kenny shows up with the AAA Mega Championship, which is pretty cool. Had that thing around his waist. He had a very elaborate entrance again, which I loved. He's not quite being the cleaner yet, but he's getting there. He's getting ever so closer to being the cleaner. Really good match here. I think I don't know if it was better than Phoenix and Penta from the week before, but it was really good. Really good. And I'm pretty sure Omega beat him for that AAA championship also. So this is kind of like a rematch here. Everything you would want out of an AEW main event here. But again, it's a match that you just wanted to watch and enjoy what you were seeing in the ring. There was never a doubt of who was going to win this. Not only because you knew right from the start they wanted to set up Omega and Page in the finals, but with Penta being a replacement, he had even less chance now of defeating Kenny Omega, and in the end, Omega won with the one-winged angel, setting up Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, tournament finals at Full Gear. Winner will earn a title shot for the AEW Championship. Give me your votes, Hangman or Omega. I'm almost thinking Hangman, but I really like what they're doing with Kenny, and I'm liking his entrance and his change, and he's becoming more and more interesting now, and this is kind of what I was expecting to see out of Kenny all along ever since he came in, but he really treaded water there in the tag team scene for a long time, aside from that great couple of matches he had with Jon Moxley. Other than that, it was just, him and Hangman doing the tag team champions thing with the Elite throughout the most of the year. So the fact that he's now coming into his own, the situation with him and Hangman here is going to implode, and I'm hoping it'll be a series of matches between them, regardless of who wins there, and regardless of who wins the title. I'm almost, part of me thinks that it's going to be Hangman. I think because Jon Moxley, I don't believe is going to drop the title to Eddie Kingston, and we already got, as great as they were, we already got Omega and Moxley last year, and those were some pretty gnarly matches. That one in particular, which is really crazy with the barbed wire trampoline and all that stuff. So I am not going to complain about getting Omega and Moxley, but we've seen it. What we haven't seen is Page and Moxley. And if Page is able to pull off some big upset here, beat Kenny Omega, maybe beat him by cheating or something like that, and then go on to face Moxley, you have to wonder if maybe Adam Page might actually win the title. Somebody's got to take the title off of Moxley at some point. So it can either be Adam Page, which would be a good full circle moment, because he was in the inaugural AEW title match and lost. If he comes back here full circle, beats Moxley, and then Omega beats Hangman for it, maybe that's something you can do. But other than Hangman beating Moxley, the only one I can really think of that would have a legitimate shot of taking the title off of Moxley in the immediate future would be MJF. If they did the inner circle turn and, he turns on Jericho and they kick him out, he's the new leader of the inner circle, and then he wins the title, showing that the decision that the inner circle members made, booting Jericho and replacing him with MJF, was the right one. So I think it could go either way there, but I think Omega, Page, or MJF would be the leading candidates to take the title off of Mox at this point, unless you guys can think of somebody better to take the title off of him. Miro might be fun. I'd be into that, but probably not. A couple of side notes on next week. Pac is returning, so he'll be back, or Pac. He'll be back on Dynamite, and we saw Pete Dunne back on NXT, so I'm guessing I haven't been paying attention. What's the deal with travel? Are we able to get some guys back from across the pond now? Is that why some of these guys are coming back? It's really cool to see him back, and if you remember, he kind of started forming that little group with the Lucha Brothers prior to COVID. Now Eddie Kingston has got Luchas, so maybe Pac joins that stable, or maybe Pac winds up having a little feud with Kingston over who gets to be BFFs with the Lucha Brothers. I don't know. Be interesting to see Pac back. I'm glad he's back. He was a big missing piece from their talent roster, so I'm excited for him. And like I said earlier, Jake Hager should probably be back as well in the next week or two, as he got his Bellator victory the other night. Let's move on to SmackDown here. Before I do, though, let me cruise over here and knock out some of these super chats that I missed while I was gone. Zane, you're the first one. Thanks, dude. Appreciate the $10. Now that the Survivor Series card is good to go, early Survivor Series predictions or regularly scheduled the night before the pay-per-view? Yeah, I'm gonna be doing Survivor Series predictions later on in the month. For the champions matches that we have right now, Roman and Orton, I'm not beating Roman, so I'm hoping that Jey Uso and maybe even Jimmy helps out Roman to get it done against Randy Orton. Asuka and Sasha, your guess is as good as mine. I think maybe Asuka could win that with some help from Bayley. Street Profits and New Day don't really care there. I think I would prefer New Day to win that, though. We're going to have Raw versus SmackDown. Again, I don't care. We don't even really know what the teams are going to be yet, and it's not going to be a match that I care about because I don't give a shit about Raw or SmackDown one way or the other, or which brand is better at all. I guess it just depends on, when I look at the two teams, which team has more guys that I like on it. But it's going to be annoying because both teams are going to have heels and baby faces, and the Raw team's going to have two guys on it that don't like each other, like Keith Lee and most likely Braun Strowman. I guarantee you Monday night we're going to see a Braun Strowman qualifying match since Keith Lee is already on the team. So we're going to see stuff like that, and, I just don't know. So I think at this point I'm the most interested in the Undertaker tribute and probably Roman and Orton. I think that will be a fun match with a lot of moving potential. I don't think Orton and Drew are quite done with each other yet, so you could see Jey Uso come in on Roman's behalf. You might see McIntyre show up there to get a piece of Randy Orton and somehow have a little, back bump or face-to-face quick moment stare down with Roman Reigns, planting the seed for some sort of a match down the line. You might see something like that in the Survivor Series, but no definitive predictions quite yet. We'll get there, though. Hector Amaya, thank you for the $2. Good to see you. Have you seen the WWF South Park episode WTF? I don't think so. What year was that? What season? Was it season like 35? I don't think I have. Maybe bits and pieces. Steven Scott, good to see you, man. Thank you for the $10. Hey, good Mike Work, in your opinion, which pay-per-views, WCW, WWE, or ECW, were consistently good each year? For me, it was all the string stampedes were good, 99 being my favorite. Oh, I see what you mean. Were consistently good each year. What specific pay-per-view? Yeah. I'd probably also say Backlash. I thought Backlash was always good. ECW, they had a couple of good heat waves, I know, but I'm not specific on the years there. I'd probably say for WWE, I'd probably go Backlash or Fully Loaded. Those were always pretty good. Unforgivens weren't also always great, even though I was at two of them. No Mercies seemed to be consistently good each year. But in WCW, I think Spring Stampede is a really good example. Because other than that, those were always good. Some of the Slamborines were a little weird. Halloween Havocs I enjoyed. I probably shouldn't say they were all good, but I did enjoy them for various reasons. Whether it be the theme or the vibe or a specific match. Like Halloween Havoc 97, for example, had an atrocious main event. Just like Halloween Havoc 98 had the horrible match between Hogan and Warrior. Twice in a row, Hogan embarrassed himself at Halloween Havoc. The atrocious cage match with Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper was on the same card as the marvelous, beautiful masterpiece between Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio Jr. So it just kind of depends. But I think overall, I'd probably go Halloween Havoc. And some of the bashes at the beaches were pretty good too in WCW. So those would probably be my votes. Michael Cuomo, thanks, dude, for $5 more. The reason it took a year for Marty to attack Sean was because he was, oh yeah, I knew that. Yeah, it's because he was apparently fired. Yeah, right after that, he was gone. I just meant like the long pause between, and then he like randomly came back. You didn't expect him back. He wasn't mentioned on TV. He was gone for so long that you forgot about him, and then out of nowhere, there he is. So yeah, his personal situation with WWE was a big reason why he was gone for so long. But I think Jericho could afford to take 2 months off. Just come back January 10th, or something. Just be off for 2 months right after Full Gear, and do a similar deal where he's just there, standing there, and then MJF's like, oh fuck, and then babyface Jericho's back. I'd be into that. Devlin Husband, where have you been? Thanks for the $5, bro. Sorry for the late arrival. I had to finish a paper about karma and that kind of stuff. Karma, okay. Roman Reigns is probably my favorite wrestler right now. Mine too. Boy, remember all the horrible things that was said about that guy? He can't cut a promo. He can't work. He sucks Vince's dick. The only reason he has a job is because of The Rock. He faked his leukemia to get cheers from the fans. Think about the ridiculously stupid things that have come out of stupid people's mouths. And look at where he is now. Roman is the man. We're going to talk about Roman in just a minute. Devlin, thanks for 2 more. Custody of the Lucha Bros match. There you go. Custody. That's rude. Going to own the Lucha Brothers? You can't own people. But yeah, it is going to be interesting when Pat comes back, if he's going to have an issue with Eddie Kingston, or if he's going to maybe join the stable. I'd almost think that him joining the stable would be more fun, because I don't know how good a Kingston and Pac match would be. Kingston and Moxley, I think, are going to do some fun things, but, Pac needs to be in there with, sorry for saying this, he needs to be in there with an athlete, and Eddie is more, kind of a brawler and, a talker, that sort of thing. I don't think they'd mesh. So maybe he would, it's better off that he joins a group. Hey, thank you for 5 more, Zane G, as well. Appreciate you a lot. Reason for NXT not being a part of Survivor Series is because, according to Vince McMahon, NXT has been sucking in the ratings. Along with his other 2 brands, they're not doing much better. They're only getting twice as much as NXT is. So that's kind of a weird reason for Vince, but I'm okay with them not being a part of Survivor Series. I thought it was cool last year. I thought Keith Lee was very impressive, and there was a couple guys that got a chance to shine. But in the end, I don't really need them being a part of it, I guess, because I just think that does more to blur the lines. We've already seen NXT kind of take a step back a little bit in terms of how good it felt, the vibe and the atmosphere that the shows gave you, the identity that it had. That's getting murkier as we go here. So for them to not be involved, I'm actually all right with it. Even though it's cool to see some fresh matchups and stuff, I'm fine with it not happening. All right, that should catch up the super chats. We got to start talking about SmackDown now. SmackDown took place last night, and of course, this was the fallout from Hell in a Cell this past Sunday, where we saw the terrific match that opened the show between Jey Uso and Roman Reigns in the Cell. And I just have to start out by just praising the shit out of not Roman Reigns, but Jey Uso. I think he has been so impressive here. He has made a believer out of me, not only in his character, in his promos, but what he can do in the ring. Roman and Jey opened up the show last night on SmackDown, and Uso, I think this was my favorite promo that I've seen him in so far, in terms of him really getting emotional, really making you feel it. I could feel the hate in his voice for his cousin. The way Roman was talking to him, demanding that he takes the oath, demanding that he falls in line. And Jey Uso's like, you didn't fucking beat me, man. You know you didn't beat me. The only reason I said I quit was to save my brother. I was not going to give up no matter what. You were going to splatter my face on the mat with those steps before I was going to say I quit. I was willing to take it to that degree. I'm just as tough as you. You're not better than me. You're not badder than me. I don't respect you. And really stands his ground, and you can see the anger and you can hear the anger in his voice, and he is just pissed. And he tells Roman, it's a snake move what you did. It's a snake move. I don't resent you. It's a chicken shit move for you to use my brother like that when you thought you could beat me and put me down and make me say I quit, and you couldn't do it. And that's what it took. You had to assault somebody else to beat me, and he's pissed off. He says the title's got you tripping, Roman Reigns, and he's right. Roman is tripping, that's for sure. And everything Jey said that in that promo, I just love, because I felt like myself. I felt my heart racing too. Like, yeah, Roman Reigns, you motherfucker. What a dick Roman Reigns is to do that to his cousin, to treat his cousin that way. And you could feel it in Jey's promo. He got that message across clearly, and it was just a fantastic segment. This whole storyline here is the best thing they have going in WWE right now. And who would have thought Jey Uso randomly selected for the title shot because there's the Roman family tie-in, and it's a great way to get Roman over as a heel, for him to murder a family member, and then Jey shows everybody how damn good he is, and this became 10 times better than they thought, and what was probably going to be a one-off at Clash of Champions with Roman just destroying Jey Uso turns out to be one of the better booked storylines and angles they've had all year. So let's hope that this doesn't go the way of Otis and Mandy and they just fucking forget about it. They stay with us here and see it through, because it's really good stuff. And Roman, his demeanor is completely changed. He talks he turned from being like a John Cena style promo cutter to like a Jake Roberts style promo cutter. He doesn't yell. He talks very calmly. It's very Godfather-ish, when he tells Jey, you will fall in line. I told you that was the stip, that if I beat you, you have to fall in line or you're out of the family. You knew the rules going into this. And Uso, and that's when Jey he almost starts like weeping. He's like, why are you going to do this, man? Why are you got to be, like, basically he's like, why do you have to be such an asshole, is what he's saying to Roman, and more or less. And to see Roman so remorseless and say, I don't give a shit, this is the way it's going to be. You have until the end of the night to fall in line. So what I predicted they would do is happening quicker than I thought. I kind of thought that they might have Roman and the Usos kind of come together here. And I knew it was going to be reluctant at first, and then that would morph and evolve into a more mutual alliance between Roman and Jey, and possibly even Jimmy when he comes back. But given the work that Jey Uso has done throughout the pay-per-view matches here and in all of these TV segments, I'm not even terribly excited to see Jimmy come back, because I don't want to see Jey go back to the tag team scene right now. I think they've made a singles contender out of Jey, or a competitor at least. And as we would see here in the main event, he would have a big, clean victory over somebody as well. So, I feel like they've built up Jey to where he is now a credible singles wrestler. To take a step back now and go into the tag teams, I would think would be a bummer. But I think it's likely that he'll stay in singles, because WWE's broken up all their other tag teams. Everybody else is broken up. Might as well break up the Usos too, especially when things are better if they're broken up. I'd love to see them as a team. I think they will win tag team gold and be together and be aligned with each other, but I wouldn't mind seeing Jey, maybe getting some singles gold on his own, because I do think he's good enough. He's so good. This whole thing was so good. Anyway, the first wrestling match we got last night was Dolph Ziggler taking on Kevin Owens in a SmackDown qualifying match for the SmackDown team at Survivor Series. Decent match there. Kevin Owens won with the Stone Cold Stunner, so he's officially on the Survivor Series team. After that, we get a really weird Lars Sullivan interview. This was a sit-down deal. It was a sit-down deal with Corey Graves, and Lars Sullivan was basically going to talk about who he is, why they're calling him the Freak, what he's all about, what his intentions are, and that sort of thing. And the vibe it gave me is it felt like they were trying to recreate the interviews they did back in like 97 with Goldust and Mankind. And Mankind in particular. That's that famous promo with Mankind, or that interview with JR, where he talks about eating the worms and being bullied on the schoolyard and discovering that he can handle pain better than anybody else, and then freaking out and putting the mandible claw on JR. And then the next week on TV, he's getting cheered, and it was, fans finally connected with him. They saw where he was coming from. They saw a new side of him, and it really got him on the map as somebody that the fans now didn't look at as just a mutilated freak who liked to hurt himself and pull his own hair out. I don't think that was accomplished here, if that's what they were trying to do. The one thing I noticed the most about this interview is how stupidly written it was. Like, some of the lines, it's very Vince McMahon-ish. He talked about how, it was an attempt, to be like a humanization of Lars Sullivan, to kind of make the fans understand him a little bit better. But as he's telling the stories, kind of similar stories to Mankind, but like I said, just poorly written stuff, where he was bullied as a kid, and he would hear the kids laugh, and then he says a real creepy line, like something like, and then about 20 minutes later, the laughing stopped and they turned to screams, and they never stopped, and I'm not allowed back at the school anymore. So apparently he just openly admitting to murdering a bunch of kids when he was younger, and that's why he is who he is now. And he was dressed like a creep too. Luckily for Corey Graves, he was not wearing an A&W root beer shirt. He was just wearing like a not like a polo shirt or something. He just dressed like he was, I don't know, going to church or something. Looked really weird. And he's got a funny delivery. He's got a funny kind of voice as well. But again, I don't have any interest in his character. I can't get past the, hey, send me pics of your booty. I can't get past the homophobic bullshit that he put up on the message boards, and racist bullshit he put up on the message boards years ago, only to turn up in a gay porno anyway. So this guy, every single thing he's done has rubbed me the wrong way and just drips with hypocrisy and stuff. I just don't have any interest in his character, I guess I should say. And it's just really hard to not associate with him with some of his past behavior. Even if you can get over the stuff he did when he was young and stupid and make stupid decisions, he just made a stupid decision like 3 weeks ago, and I'm not ready to forgive the guy yet. So WWE doesn't seem to give a shit. They want to push him as a big deal, even to the point where they're trying to get fans understanding him. And I appreciated the attempt, I suppose, but I think the attempt failed. That's just my opinion. But we'll see what they do with the Freak going forward. We had a women's qualifier for the SmackDown Survivor Series team as well. Bianca Belair defeated Natalya and Billie Kay in a three-way there. So Bianca's on the team. Bianca's my girl. I think she should be the sole survivor. I think she should win the Royal Rumble, and I think she should go into WrestleMania to beat Sasha Banks for the women's title. That's what I think they should do there. They probably won't, but that's the trajectory I would like to see Bianca Belair go. I would like to see Sasha, as we'll talk about here in just a second. I would like to see her have a long run with the title, or a long-ish run, because she's never been able to defend it successfully, and now she's set up to at least hold the belt for a little while, which is good. After that, we had Street Profits taking on Cesaro and Nakamura again. Nothing big there. Street Profits got the win, but a really cool bump on the outside of the ring. Cesaro just launches Montez so far up in the air, straight up in the air, and then over the barricade, and he like disappears behind the barricade. I'm hoping there was a little crash pad there for him to land on, because if they're not going to show him taking the bump, why land on concrete if you're not even going to show it and do that damage to your body? But how high he got, Montez is got to be one of the most just stupidly sick athletic people that we've ever seen. Name me other examples of people that have been athletic to this degree. We've seen plenty of guys who can jump high and do some crazy shit, but this is like inhuman level of how high he can get when he jumps off, and that frog splash is ridiculous. What I think would have been funny, and plus that combined with how strong Cesaro is, the way he just launched him right up in the air like that, given how crazy the week has been, and we've seen murders on TV, we've seen Le Dinner Debonaires, we've seen some wacky, crazy shit on TV. So I say go all out. What I would have loved to see here when Cesaro launched Montez up in the air, I would have loved to see Montez completely leave the frame, completely leave the screen, just whoosh, and then never come down. And the announcer's like, where is he? Where is he? And then you like finish the match with no Montez. Like he never shows back up. He just gets launched off the screen and is gone. And then maybe Dawkins is able to still get the win somehow in the ring. And then randomly, this Monday on Raw, maybe like halfway through the show, just in the middle of a match, you see Montez fall and just land on the other side of the barricade, like land in the Thunderdome. He's been up, he was in the air that long. Like Cesaro launched him into orbit. He circled the earth a few times, came back down and crash landed on Monday Night Raw. Why not? Put a smile on my face if they did something like that. And I think it would make a lot of sense, because if anybody's capable of jumping into orbit, it's Montez Ford. The dude is ridiculous. Sami Zayn had a backstage promo explaining why the IC title is so much better than the US title. Yawn, although Sami promos are very good. And that brought us to the Sasha Banks promo. She's coming out there for her victory celebration. Brand new champion. She won the belt, of course, at Hell in a Cell in a great match with Bayley that I loved. And talks a little bit about how she's champion now, blah, blah, blah. Bayley comes out. We knew Bayley was coming out. Comes out to the ramp and says, you know, you might be champion now, but we all know you can't hang on to the title. Unlike myself, who hung on the title for over a year, you're probably going to drop in your very first damn match. And I think she goes on to challenge her for next week. So it looks like they're going to get Bayley and Sasha out of the way now, the rematch, because Sasha's got a date with Asuka at Survivor Series. So hopefully Sasha can get over this hump sooner rather than later. If they don't have Sasha defend the title, and then she goes into the match at Survivor Series with Asuka, she could still technically lose her first title match whenever the hell that happens. So if she has the match with Bayley next week, I I suppose we could see a DQ or something, and then Bayley can say, see, you still never successfully retained it or whatever. But I think it would also be cool if poor Sasha could just get over that hump and just beat Bayley next week. Just beat her. Beat her with a bank statement, tap her out. I don't know, or roll her up or something if you have to. You can still revisit Bayley and Sasha after the Survivor Series. But it would be nice if Sasha could just get over that hump. And I think, in my opinion, that Sasha should hold the title until WrestleMania. A lot of people said, Bayley will just win it back. What makes you think that? She was champion for a year. Usually after a year-long title run, you don't drop the belt for 3 weeks and then win it back. Adam Cole, AJ Styles, once they're done with their runs, they're kind of done for a little while. It's somebody else's turn, so to speak. And Bayley, I credit her on Twitter. I credit her in the Hell in the Cell review. I thought her work this past year was fantastic. I knew going into Hell in the Cell she was probably going to drop that belt. And she gave me a hell of a year. She was one of my favorite people all year, in a year of suck. She really was a bright spot. And I've been more entertained with Bayley throughout the last 12 months than I ever have in her, 5, 6, 7 year-long career. So I think she's done great work. She's established now. I think she can go a little bit without the title, let Sasha run with it, and have a good, strong run with it, and then pass it off to somebody else at WrestleMania, like a Bianca Belair. I think that would be really awesome, but we'll see. That's a long ways off. WWE, like I always say, they don't know what they're doing tomorrow, much less WrestleMania. It all just depends on, how the chips fall and stuff. Anyway, that brings us to the main event. It's another SmackDown Survivor Series team qualifying match. Daniel Bryan taking on Jey Uso. This was a really good match, but the story here was going to be about whether or not Jey Uso was going to fall in line. He wound up beating Daniel Bryan. Beat him clean, right? Unless I missed it. It looked like there was no shenanigans going on there. He got the clean win over Daniel Bryan, showing that Jey Uso was really leapfrogged Daniel Bryan in terms of, where they are on the roster and stuff. And he's now on the Survivor Series team. I'm glad. Jey is turning out to be a big deal, and he's earned it, man. He is fantastic. So after he beats Daniel Bryan, Roman then comes out. He's there, and he's like, all right, it's time. This is it. What you going to do? And Jey just says, okay. Reluctantly, you can see it on his face that he's he's struggling internally with it. And he goes, I'm with you. I'm with you. And then he goes on to attack Daniel Bryan. After he already beat him, tells Roman he's with him. You're the tribal chief. There we go. It said OBS disconnected, but it looks like we're up and running now. No interruptions. Anyway, so Jey falls in line, adheres to Roman, does what he wants, tells Roman all of the things that Roman needs to hear. Tribal chief, head of the table, I acknowledge you, you're the man, you're the head of the family, whatever. Succumbs, attacks Roman, or attacks Daniel Bryan. I think even puts him through the table, unleashes just a brutal attack on Daniel Bryan, basically as his initiation to show Roman Reigns that he is now with him. And this kind of falls in line with what I was thinking they would do, where it would kind of be like, because Jay's going to have no choice but to join Roman, and it will be a reluctant at first, but then after he tastes some success, maybe a great Survivor Series outing here, he's on the team now. What if Jey survives? What if Jay's the only survivor? I would do that, actually. I would put Jey as the only survivor on the team. And then he's like, maybe this new way is working out for me. When Jimmy comes back, you put the tag team titles on the Usos right away. And then, and then they're sitting there as champions with Roman, and they slowly start evolving and morphing into a more mutual alliance with Roman Reigns, to where they are no longer reluctant. They are no longer being forced into anything. They've adopted the Roman Reigns way, and they are just as vicious and cutthroat and as evil as he now is. Now, what's interesting about that is I don't know really where Paul Heyman fits into that. I'm assuming he'll still be there, but this seems to be like a family ordeal, a family situation. Paul Heyman is not family. It's almost like, I hate to say this, but I almost think like Paul Heyman isn't needed in this. I still think Heyman should stick with Roman because I like that pairing. But in terms of like this family member stuff, this family stuff that's going on, Paul Heyman seems a little bit out of place. So I don't know if the Usos join up with Roman, if that means Heyman will also be the advocate for them or be representing them. I don't know what this whole, little group will be doing or what they will be called. I'm assuming they'll be called the Roman Empire, with Heyman kind of being your satellite J.J. Dillon member of this thing, and he goes way back, with Alpha and Sika and the Samoans too. So it's not like he's unaware of them. I think he was taking pictures at ringside when he was a teenager, all those guys, and stuff. So he's familiar, but he still like kind of just visibly looks out of place. So, if he plays the role of a JJ type of thing and let Roman and the Usos kind of have front and center, that could be good stuff. And they definitely would be an intimidating looking group. And we talked about that years ago. If they ever joined up Roman and the Usos and kind of made like a new Shield, I'm glad they didn't do it back then, because this is much better. This is going to be this is going to look so good when it all kind of falls together, and how Jimmy falls into this, or whatever. We'll see. And then how long it takes for, if the whole thing does a 180 and it starts being like an MJF Wardlow situation to where Roman, now that he's on the same page with his cousins, if he continues to abuse them. Because I would hope that when Jimmy and Jay fall in line, that Roman will start treating them, as treating them friendly again. Or if he'll stay, kind of the boss and, just be really cutthroat with them. Like I said, it's very Godfather-ish, is what it feels like. So the whole situation is good. I like the beatdown of Daniel Bryan. Not sure if Bryan is going to want to get revenge for that, or if Bryan, who's recently kind of teamed up with Kevin Owens, if maybe Bryan and Kevin Owens take on Jay and Roman next week. That's possible. Something like that. We'll see. And Jey Uso and Kevin Owens are actually also both on the Survivor Series team now for the men. And that's all we got, too, right? For the men, just the two. So it's Owens and Uso qualifying. And then on the women's side, I think it's just Bianca so far. I think that's all we got. Bailey, I'm sure, will make the team. And a few others. So, yeah, we'll see. You guys let me know all your comments there. Do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button for me as we finish things up right now. Montez the Human video game. That's really actually very true. I'm going to agree with Stone Cold and Andrew on that one. I'm down for some new Roman music. I am a little bit tired of it. It's been a long time since we heard that fucking music. He's not John Cena. He doesn't need to keep the same music for all these years. Even a spiced up version, even if you want to keep it kind of like that, but maybe give, how like Stone Cold had the Disturbed version of his theme? Do something like that with Roman. Do like a really, like maybe hard rock version of the Shield theme, or something to spice it up to where you still associate it with Roman, but it's different at the same time. Something like that. They might Stone Cold. They might eventually go in that direction, especially now that Jay has fallen in line with Roman. You have to wonder what Jimmy thinks about it. So if Jimmy is out on TV next week and he does not agree, and he's like, what are you doing, Jay? And then Jay's remembering, hey, Jimmy, it's because of you that I had to quit. I wouldn't be in this position if it wasn't for you anyway. And then maybe attacks his brother or something. But I still think it would be better if the brothers were together, I think, at some point. So maybe Jimmy is at first reluctant to it. And plus, I don't know what his status is in terms of his rehab and his comeback. So I don't know how close he is with getting back in the ring and being cleared to like physically work. If he is, then you can do Jay and Jimmy. Instead, Jimmy can just kind of maybe be a presence a couple of times on TV. And then down the road, you do the match. Or if Jimmy will wind up just joining, his brother and his cousin, which I think would be better for him just to join. It'd be hard to keep track of an Uso match. Up until like just this year, I still couldn't tell them apart. Now with all the great work that Jay is doing, I know the difference between Jimmy and Jay, but it was always hard. And the Usos have been like my favorite tag team in the WWE for 10 years, and I still couldn't tell the fuckers apart. So a match with those two would be interesting, but I think Jimmy still has a long hair though, so maybe it'll work. Possible. January is a Jimmy return. Yeah, by then a lot can happen. That'll be an interesting couple of months because we got Survivor Series coming up here. But then what does Roman do? He's going to need an opponent for December, which I guess will be what? TLC? So what does Roman do in December? I can kind of see Orton and Drew on the Raw side of things. But with Roman Reigns, maybe it's a match with Jimmy. Maybe that's where you do a Jimmy run-in or something, I don't know, and he turns and then joins up with them, and then just a few weeks later he'll be back on TV. But I think Roman Reigns is going to need another opponent. Maybe Daniel Bryan, but that's a ways off. I think Roman and Daniel Bryan might be sooner than that. So I don't know. I just don't know. Well, Roman and Daniel Bryan would be good. Roman and Daniel Bryan would be good at Royal Rumble too. Either way. But whoever Roman faces at TLC, it feels like it's going to have to be somebody that has some sort of an issue with him. Because it'll probably be a gimmick match with a bunch of shit, and maybe that person could be Daniel Bryan. We'll see. Maybe he doesn't defend the title. Maybe it's a tag. Who the hell are the champs right now? Street Profits, right? Maybe Roman and Jay take on the Street Profits and win the tag titles together. And then that would be good. Maybe Roman and Jay win the tag titles together. Roman is now Roman 2 belts. And then when Jimmy comes back in January, Roman just gives him the tag team title. This is yours now. Hey, good mic work, but that's not allowed. Are you sure? Everything is allowed in WWE. Nothing makes any damn sense. The brand split means dick. The drafts mean nothing. Champions even mean nothing because when they get drafted to the other brand, they swap the straps colors. They mean nothing. So you can easily get away with that. And Roman just saying, here, you're the champion now, and I'm no longer the tag champ. Here you go. I can see him doing that. And then the Usos are tag champs automatically without having to win the belts together. And I'd be down with that. Zane, thank you for that. You posted your numbers on non-super chats. Okay. I'll find them. Yeah, by the way, last chance before I sign off here. If anybody wants to enter to win these great, awesome computer speakers that I have an extra set of that I don't need, that I don't feel like returning, I'm just raffling them off here. Pick a number between 1 and 300. And for every $1 you super chat, that's how many times you can pick a number. So if you send $5, just give me 5 numbers between 1 and 300. And Monday, I'm going to randomly select the number. I'll do that live on Twitter. And then Monday night, during the live stream, the Raw review, I will announce the winner. So it's just going to be a pick a number type of deal. If you're interested. We'll see. We'll do more giveaways in the future, and I'll try to figure out a way to make them a little bit easier. But after looking into it, I felt like the only way I could do it is to have people pick a number and then just randomly pick the number. So I'm going to do that on random.org. That's going to select a number between 1 and 300, and whoever hits the number on the head or comes closest will win. And if there's 2 winners, I have a plan for that. So I'm even going to allow for 2 winners if there happens to be 2 people pick the same number. Yeah, in terms of Heyman turning on Roman, I don't know. I don't feel like yet. It's too new to me. I still like the alliance. And like I said, I feel like the Uso storyline is almost like getting in the way of it because I don't think WWE knew in September how good this was going to be. Jey Uso said himself that it was supposed to be a one-off at Clash of Champions, but everything was so good they decided to stretch it. Now they've made this tribal chief thing, and the whole thing has been so centered around the family, it almost feels like it leaves Paul Heyman out. But I don't think you need to remove Heyman from the equation yet. I think still him and Roman Reigns is a very cool alliance, something that I've been waiting a long time for. I don't think you put them together in August and break them up in November. It seems way too soon for me. So I hope they stay together for a while. I hope they stay together until Brock comes back. And then Brock's like, what the hell, Paul? Because Brock, that would be really funny too, because, you know, Brock has even said so on TV during his like most doucheous heel run that he doesn't watch the show. I don't watch this shit. I just show up because I have to, and I kick a bunch of people's ass. Even backstage on that one Raw, he's reading like the Outdoorsman, hunting magazine or whatever. So it could be argued that Brock hasn't watched any WWE TV. So when he finds out he's booked for a show, he comes back, and that's when he finds out that Heyman is with Roman Reigns. Like, he didn't know. He didn't pay attention. Heyman never texted him. He never checked social media because he lives in the fucking woods, and he doesn't watch the show, so he had no idea. Finds out that Roman's with Heyman. He's like, yo, what the hell, bro? And then maybe that forms something. Because I got to say, even though Roman did beat Brock for the Universal title, I think in that 4-way match or whatever, he still doesn't have that like win over Brock. Even Roman, who everybody thought was WWE's golden boy, Seth Rollins, Goldberg, and who's the most recent one? Drew McIntyre. They all have much more solid wins over Brock than Roman does. Roman has a fluke win and a whole bunch of losses. So I think maybe Roman, to really assert his dominance, not only being the head of the table in his own family, but being the head of the WWE's table, he needs to put down Brock and put him down hard. He put down Cena already. He's put down Lashley, I think. So he's beat all the big players. And, yes, he does have a pin over Brock. Or maybe it wasn't a four-way. Maybe it was just a one-on-one. It was a deal where he speared him and the chair slid over Brock's face. That was SummerSlam. Was that a one-on-one or a four-way? I can't remember. Either way, it didn't feel like a definitive, dominant win, where Roman's asserting himself as the real big dog, as the real head of the table. You didn't get that vibe. Where in some of Brock and Roman's matches, it did feel that way. That WrestleMania match at 34, everybody thought Roman was going to win, and Brock destroyed him, left him laying in a pool of blood and piss. So maybe Roman needs to do that to Brock now to really make everybody a believer, like, holy shit, he just put down the best of the best right there and put him down hard. Might be something he needs down the line. And that would be fun to see Paul Heyman say, I kind of see more dollar signs in Roman. Sorry, Brock, it's been a fun 20 years, but I don't need you anymore. I got the tribal chief kind of thing. I think that's all possible for 2021. And I'm still very much open to The Rock coming back, but with COVID, I don't think WrestleMania is going to be here in LA. I think it's probably going to remain back in Florida, probably at Tampa, which is good for them. And I don't know if that's really necessarily enough to bring The Rock back. If this is a non-pandemic, I think The Rock would be back to potentially work with Roman Reigns. But if not, I'd have somebody like Big E win the Royal Rumble and beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Would love to see that. I would love to see Big E and Bianca Belair both have those moments. And I would love to see Big E, especially if the New Day does not interact with Big E at all on TV between now and WrestleMania. And they're in the ring with him, just like Eddie was standing in the ring waiting for Chris Benoit to turn around to see each other and hug and all that stuff. If they had that type of moment with the New Day and WrestleMania and Big E winning the title, I think it could be even more emotional than the Kofi victory. So all that stuff's a huge if. I don't think, like I said, WWE doesn't know what the hell they're going to do on Raw on Monday, barely. Much less what they're doing 8 months down the line. They do not plan that far ahead. And like I said, this Roman and Jey Uso stuff is kind of a pretty good example of that because, they've decided to run with it and call an audible here and go longer and go further with the Roman and Jey stuff than they intended, which shows me they had nothing written for the future anyway. They fell, and that's the thing. Whenever you find greatness in the WWE these days, whenever you find a really good storyline that works and the fans are connecting with, WWE 10 times out of 10 always falls ass backwards into it. Same thing with Mandy and Otis. On the surface, Mandy and Otis and Sonya and everything going on backstage is stupid, but they made it good. The talent pulled it off. And they made it 10 times better than you thought it was going to look on paper, and they ran with it. So I think this is a really good example of that, and that's why Roman and Jey are so awesome. So anyway, I think that's going to wrap it up here for me. I'm going to see if there's any more questions to answer here, and then I'm out of here. That's funny. One of your favorite Brock moments was when he didn't realize he had a full year to cash in Money in the Bank. That's right. That was kind of funny. So exactly, he doesn't watch. He doesn't know. So he could come back, and then all of a sudden Roman walks up to him and is like, "What's up, Brock? Want to come into the locker room? Me and Paul are waiting for you." And he's like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Get out of my face, Roman. Where's your vest?" I can see that whole thing going down. That'd be hilarious. It'd be fun. I like it when Brock is comedic. The comedic Brock is a good Brock in my mind. Oh, man. But anyway, I got to get the hell out of here, guys. Again, happy Halloween to you. Whatever you have planned for tonight, I hope you have a good time. Like I said, the audio to this will be uploaded on the website later tonight, early tomorrow morning if you would like to listen. And I will be back on Monday night for the Raw review. I will select a winner on Monday on Twitter, so follow me on Twitter at GoodMikeWork. I'll pick a number for the speakers, and then on Monday night, I will announce who the winner of that was. And other than that, don't forget to change your clocks tonight. Fall back so you get to gain an hour. If you have to get up early in the morning, you get an extra hour sleep. The only thing that sucks about this time of year is now it gets dark at fucking 5 o'clock. So tonight will be the last night of brightness, and then after that, I'm going to be driving to work in the dark, which is always kind of depressing in the wintertime. But anyway, make sure you set your clocks and join me Monday night for the Raw review. You guys have a good Halloween, good rest of your weekend. Catch you Monday. Peace.